Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. We are streaming out live on X, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook Live, BitChute. We're also streaming out on the audio streams after the program, iTunes, Spotify, all your fine podcasting platforms. We're going to be there as well after the program. So if you can, subscribe to us there. Thank you for joining us. We're also streaming out on 21stcenturywire.com. Hello to everybody watching the live stream on our website, as well as alternatecurrentradio.com, our independent radio network. Thank you once again. This is episode 595 of this weekly omnibus news and analysis radio and TV program. Again, I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. It's great to be with you. This is going to be an interesting conversation today. We've got a couple of big things that we need to touch on, major international current events. Also, what's happening in the UK as well, and specifically what happened this weekend in terms of the what's being called the dual demonstrations in London yesterday. I was on the ground with my colleagues. I can show you a sneak preview of a report coming out this week, and it was very interesting. We attended both. We'll talk to you about that. Show you a few little details and other things on social media forthcoming anyway. But I'll tell you what, I thought I'd seen everything. But nope, it just gets weirder and weirder. So we'll talk about that, among other things. And without further ado, let's bring up onto the stage. I want to feature our Sunday screening this week. This is up at 21stcenturywire.com. This is called Gaza Doctors Under Attack. This is a fantastic documentary film. We encourage everybody to watch it. It's a great piece of documentary film. I believe this has also won quite a few awards recently, and it's no surprise that it has. It's an excellent film, and it's also been censored by the British media, and specifically, I believe, the BBC. Why? Because apparently they said it cast Israel in a bad light. Therefore, it was too controversial, or at least I don't know what the off-the-record excuse was. It was probably something along those lines. It angered the Board of Deputies and the Israeli lobby. So you know what happens when that's the case. The BBC have to just basically erase it, cancel it, take it off the air. You know, there's the usual drill. So that's what's happened there. That's not the Sunday screening. Again, we curate an independent documentary film every week, and that is effectively the Sunday screening. So if you can, go ahead and share that with your friends and watch that. And you'll be, I think, very pleased with the quality of this film. Nonetheless, this is here we'll bring up this Amnesty International here, but the documentary film, the BBC refused to air Gaza Doctors Under Attack. And yep, it was canceled by the BBC. It won a BAFTA award, believe it or not. It won a BAFTA award, among other awards. It keeps winning awards. Well, Amnesty International also gave it a media award last week. So it's bagging all these awards, but not good enough to be on the BBC. Why? Because it upset the Israeli lobby, because it shows the absolute vindictive, evil practices by the Israeli military that is fully 100% supported by the U.S. government, by the British government, by the EU, and the Germans. And they're targeting hospital workers, nurses, doctors. One doctor was tortured to death. Another one is being tortured to death. Bodies being buried in unmarked graves after they go to the sites, after they've been bombed out. The Israelis are targeting medical workers, targeting ambulances, as well as journalists, which we've talked about before. Why? This is the most insidious of all war crimes. And there's more than enough cases here against Israel and every single person in the IDF that you'd be running a tribunal for the next decade. Honestly, it would take forever to convict all these people. This is just a level of institutional criminality and evil, but supported by Western governments because they're terrified of falling foul of the Israel lobby. It's as simple as that. And many of them are being paid, and their surrogates are being paid. We'll talk about paid surrogates in a moment. At the rally we attended this yesterday, in fact, on Saturday. So that's what's happening there. So anyway, watch this film, share it, support it. And I want to also give a shout out to this really an important article here by Freddie Ponton, and it's called Black Core: Israel's Cyber Hitmen in French Elections. It's no secret that Israel's interfering in Western elections, Western political processes. Israel intervened to purge the UK's Labour Party of any pro-Palestinian support by creating a fake, fabricated anti-Semitism in the Labour Party crisis. So they managed to purge an entire mainstream party of anybody pushing back against the genocide in Gaza. And, if that wasn't enough in terms of foreign interference, I mean, let's talk about the U.S. Arguably, Donald Trump's office has been sold to the Israel lobby for like $250 million. That's what they paid for Trump's carte blanche loyalty. So there's a level of interference, a level of meddling in our elections, nothing like we've seen here in France. What Freddie exposes here is a system. And if you're involved in any way in politics, you need to read this article. You need to share it. You need to warn people about what is happening now. This is next level election interference. Black Core. You've heard of Black Cube? Well, think about Black Cube for election meddling. Black Core. And not just national elections. This is being used to go and basically interfere with local elections, running smear AI driven sock puppet account, creating smear campaigns, QR codes, sort of dirty tactics. We've seen these, very familiar with these tactics. I've seen them being used in the UK against journalists, against media outlets I contribute to, against myself as well. So we've seen these tactics. We know that they're active. We know who's behind them. We know where the money's coming from. And here it's really broken down in detail. I mean, Freddie's done just a tremendous job here. And this is very good journalism. And we're very proud to be able to publish it at 21stcenturywire.com. That's the type of quality right here we're doing on a weekly basis. And this is why we need your support. Okay. We want to keep doing this. This is such an expose. And this is really next level. This is showing you the shape of things to come. In the age of AI, at a very low cost, Israel can come in and wreak havoc in Western local elections in order to knock out any candidates that are sympathetic to the Palestinian cause and are critical of Israel. No joke, folks. It's all in here. All the receipts are in here. And it's a very technical, sophisticated operation, including how they shield and hide the money to pay for all this. But as usual, Freddie's gotten to the bottom of it. So if you're interested in politics, you're involved in politics, you need to look at this. You need to be aware of what the weapons that are being pointed at your European country, and if you're in Canada, if you're in the United States, even local elections in the U.S. Anywhere. I would say even Latin America, you need to look at this. With the Isaac Accords, Israel's targeting Honduras, they're targeting Colombia, they're targeting Venezuela, anybody at Cuba. They're using the Trump administration to knock out these governments. Mexico. But they're also just directly intervening here with these cyber operations. And it's well funded. It's well funded. But the technology is, it's frightening, quite frankly. And in the age of AI, they can basically run these operations globally, and they plan to. This is Spectre, ladies and gentlemen. This is Spectre. If you saw the James Bond film with Daniel Craig, a couple of episodes back in that series, this is this is one aspect of what they revealed in that film that's come true, and it's absolutely frightening. You've got to pay attention to this, ladies and gentlemen. You really do, and you got to also please, and those of you who have supported us in the last couple of weeks, we saw some new memberships coming in. I know we've got new listeners and viewers all the time. Go to 21stcenturywire.com or look at the link in the description if you're on YouTube, Rumble, or BitChute right now, and you'll see a link. They'll take you to a support page, donate. There's different options there. Obviously, we prefer if you subscribe and become a member at 21wire.tv. So just go to the donate button on our website, 21st Century Wire, here, and it'll take you to the tab. It'll be in the upper left-hand corner, and you can support us every month. It's about $5 a month, but it goes a long way. We're able to continue to expand and doing more investigative work like this, more programming, more video content, all of these things we need your help with. We just upgraded one of our key members. We just upgraded him with a state of the art uh, laptop, and that's not cheap, especially Macs. So, but that's the sort of thing that your support is able to do. We're able to do that, and we have done that. And the results, we've got a lot of stuff that's coming as well. We're going to be doing different types of videos. So if you like these investigations, imagine them in video format. That's the sort of thing we're working on. So just want to let you guys know, and we appreciate your support. You guys are making it happen, and we couldn't do it without you, quite frankly. So thank you. Everybody support the work at 21st Century Wire and this show, The Sunday Wire, every week. Thank you to everybody in the comments. We see some engagement in the comment threads. We're being throttled heavily on X. So, I mean, someone tell me if you can see us. 'Cause, Elon doesn't like the type of content that we're doing. Neither does the Trump administration. So, of course, Israel doesn't either. So if you see us on your X feed, please let us know. I'm not sure if we're throttled on YouTube, but normally on X, we're incredibly throttled on the mainstream. We used to stream much higher, but it's been curtailed. There's an algorithm running on X to shadow ban our account. It's pretty heavy. So yeah, they're running a suppression campaign on X. It's not a free speech platform. That's complete. If you have certain politics, they'll open up the algorithm for you and you'll make lots of money. And so Elon's able to transfer money into far right content creators. If you're racist, if you're talking about white genocide in South Africa, if you're supporting Tommy Robinson, Elon will make sure that you're well looked after financially by opening up the algorithm so you can monetize your account. If you're calling out any of this craziness and you're exposing the hypocrisy and you're exposing the sort of Zionist funded, xenophobic, all these programs that they're running and paying for against the Western electorate, then you will be throttled and heavily on that platform, which we are. So if you are seeing us, you're very lucky because you're one of the few. I've got over 200,000 followers on X, and probably I'm visible to about maybe between 2 and 5% of those followers. 2 and 5% of 200,000. That's what we're visible to, basically. So all we ever wanted was a level playing field, but seems like that's too much for some people. They are scared of this show for some reason. I have no idea why. I mean, we're not that extreme. Why would they throttle us? It's very odd. Anyway, let's get into the theme of the show, the task at hand here. The title of the show is provocative, and it's meant to be. St. George was a Palestinian. That's the title of the show. That's the theme of the show. So we'll talk about that. We'll come back to that in a moment. And we have a few choice video clips, some footage from the weekend. If you didn't have a chance to get on the ground in London, we did it, and we'll show you some of the choice images and scenes. More to come during the week, but we hope you like our splash image here, suitably provocative, designed to trigger certain people that having trouble figuring out their history. Well, we're here to help. We're here to help. So before we get there, Trump's trip to China. Okay, the latest episode of Entourage. And there you see the entourage below. You have George Soros's bankers, the globalist, now Trump's banker, Scott Bessent. He is the Secretary of Economic Warfare, otherwise known as the U.S. Treasury. Next to Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, formerly the Secretary of Defense, Fox News weekend host, got kicked out of the D.C. National Guard. But hey, those are good qualifications to run a $1.5 trillion Pentagon. There you are. Tim Cook, Apple, basically completely under the control of the Israelis. I don't know how much of Apple's operation has been moved to Israel. That's no mistake. And then there's Elon Musk taking photos, pulling his Zoolander blue steel looks to the camera and so forth. The heads of Blackstone, Larry Fink from BlackRock, all the globalists Donald Trump brought with him to meet the Chinese. Why? Why would Donald Trump need to bring such a massive entourage? Marco Rubio was there, looking a little bit out of sorts. They even brought the deviant Stephen Miller there. It's probably a good cultural experience for Stephen. It's good for him to get out a little bit. Who else did they bring? I mean, why would you bring the Secretary of War to China? Totally inappropriate and kind of ridiculous. But Trump is very insecure, and he is more than any other U.S. president in history. He is at his lowest ebb, both domestically and internationally. Way worse than Biden. And he's polling worse than Biden right now at this point in the term. He's really crashed and burned. Internationally, he is the most hated leader in the world, behind probably Netanyahu. But he's not a distant second. So he's not doing well domestically in the U.S. He's tanked it. His base has fled. All he's got left are oligarchs, oil and gas, fracking industry people, AI oligarchs, all of whom are basically kissing his you-know-what in order to position themselves for a bailout when the AI bubble pops, which it will pop probably next year. When the Tesla bubble pops, which will be next year as well, Elon will need a bailout. Wall Street will need a bailout. They're completely over-leveraged right now. All the indicators are way worse than the pre-2008 crash. And this is without the subprime housing bubble excuse. This is literally total Great Depression style margin buying. Good old-fashioned margin buying. So what do you do when you're that weak and the only base you have left is Wall Street, the Israel lobby, big AI, big tech, big oil. That's it. And the main half of the mainstream media. That's Trump's base. The working class are gone. He has to probably pay people to attend his rallies and wear the silly hats. That's where it is right now. So you need a bigger entourage. He goes to China, very insecure. Because Trump doesn't have any actual diplomats in his cabinet. I know this is crazy. He doesn't have any diplomats. They're all political appointees and selected by the Israel lobby. Literally, Mary Madelson, Howard Lutnick, Kushner, via Netanyahu's office, hand-selected practically every member of the cabinet. And the last thing they want is diplomats. Did you know that the United States has 183 embassies around the world? How many of those embassies actually have ambassadors? Out of 183 embassies, there's only 112 actual ambassadors. And out of those 112, I think probably 3/4 of them are not qualified to be ambassadors. There are people that Trump's given a sort of pat on the back as a business reward to get a paid government junket job and be able to pursue their personal business interests as, quote, ambassadors. So he's really only got a handful of what you might class as experienced diplomats left in all of these embassies around the world. But the majority of them, or close to the majority, just about half of them don't have ambassadors. That's either a fake ambassador or a real ambassador, just no ambassador. I mean, he appointed a Fox News former presenter who was Donald Jr.'s side piece, the former Victoria's Secrets model Kimberly Guilfoyle. I think he might have gifted her an ambassador job of Greece. I mean, what is she qualified doing exactly? We don't want to get into that, but anyway, former catalog girl for Les Wexner at Victoria's Secrets. Very good. Very good qualifications under the Trump administration. Anyway, that's the caliber of diplomat. So anyway, Trump's brought his entourage to Beijing, and they didn't prepare any reports. They got their massive photo op, big red carpet. Trump loves all this pomp and circumstance. So he's got the photo op. He's got the pageantry. That's really what Trump wanted, because Trump wouldn't know a deal if it slapped him in the face. This guy has not got any deals since he's been in office. None. Everything has collapsed. The tariffs have collapsed. All the other threats have collapsed. China's basically twisted his arm on everything. So he's walked away with nothing, made all these claims that are unverified, that China was going to buy 200 Boeing jets, that they're going to buy U.S. soybeans, all this other stuff. None of it was confirmed. That China was going to help them open the Straits of Hormuz, even though the straits are open for China anyway. So Trump made all these claims after leaving, and all of them have been debunked by the Chinese. All of them. Every single one. So you've got a president that has to lie about what he supposedly accomplished. So this is a complete humiliation for this president. He was even challenged on China, and he completely folded. He folded like a cheap deck chair at a sleazy resort in Palm Beach at Mar-a-Lago. A cheap Walmart deck chair. That was Trump in China. Absolutely folded. He was terrified. He couldn't bring his entourage with him for the private discussions with Xi. And Trump feels naked if he doesn't have a massive entourage, because he's very insecure. And so, of course, he could negotiate nothing. China wasn't having it. China's kind of wise to Trump's bluffing and the games. So he didn't have any cards when he arrived, and he didn't have any cards when he left. So all his cards, at the end of the day, were made in China. So that's what happened. That's the takeaway, folks. This is a major sort of geopolitical inflection point, because it's the first time that a U.S. president went to a state visit in China as a weaker party and basically was sent packing with nothing. It's like Jimmy Carter was a titan compared to Trump in terms of his relations with China. But you know what? Much to the chagrin of the likes of Marco Rubio, who's sort of a geopolitical savant. In other words, he can memorize a few concepts, but doesn't have any depth. Rubio said, China can't rise if the U.S. has to fall. Well, listen, Marco, the U.S. is going to fall anyway. $39 trillion in debt, mainly because of all these clowns that you brought with you to China. They bled the U.S. economy dry. They offshored all the jobs. They pushed all the debt onto the federal government. They encouraged the federal government to deficit spend. The likes of Elon Musk, he's the richest man in the world because of U.S. government deficit spending. That's why he did the whole fake Doge Act. You remember last year, Doge? Musk was acting like he was a sort of austerity campaigner, a crusader to cut government waste and spending and all this stuff. And they literally turned around and are basically in the hole for 2.5 trillion deficit spending in their first year. And Musk has his bit earmarked out of that for SpaceX and whatever else he's doing with insider deals with the federal government. This is how these people get rich. So that was all just basically a scam. Doge was a scam. He managed to basically suck a lot of federal data into whoever's working for him, feed into whatever AI model. No change whatsoever in the bottom line. In fact, it's way worse. Probably the cost of undoing all the mistakes and all the damage from Doge probably well exceeds any money that Doge claims to have saved. Elon said they were going to save $1 trillion or something stupid. I don't know what it is. He just lied. The whole thing was an act. The reality is 1.7 trillion, that's the real figure, 1.7 trillion military budget. Doubled. So that translates into 2.5 trillion in deficit spending for the fiscal year. That translates into inflation. That translates into a national debt that will be over $40 trillion after January. They have no intention of paying any of it down. It's the last thing the likes of Elon Musk and Bezos and all the rest of them, it's the last thing they want. They want those government contracts. They want those bailouts. Wall Street's angling for a bailout. When NVIDIA and Tesla, when the stocks crash, those companies are going to want a bailout. They want the government to come in and buy shares. Or they want they'll bail out the banks, and the banks will go and buy shares, and then or somehow parlay cash for companies to do stock buybacks. All these sort of scams that they do internally in the financialization of the economy in order to keep themselves rich and get us to pay for it because we get the tax. It's called the inflation tax. We pay that. It's what the average everyday person pays. These people don't care about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about your bottom line. They don't care about your cost of living. And Trump has even said he doesn't care publicly. He says we have wars to fight against Iran. We've got to bomb people. We don't care about the financial situation. I could pull the clip right now. He was asked point blank by the press, what about Americans who are worried about their financial situation? Trump said, I don't care about their financial situation. We need to help Israel. We've got to fight these wars 10,000 miles away. That's our priority, not the American people. Well, that's not what he ran on, was it? He's doing the opposite. And some people, I don't want to get into a value judgment about the types of people that are still supporting this president or defending him. But it's the worst. He will go down. I'll say it again. Trump will go down as the worst president in the history of the United States of America. Full stop. He will be a joke. He will be something when you talk about a bad leader or corrupt leader, a warmonger, an idiot, somebody who's really just a dotard. It's going to be Trump. That you can fill in the blanks. And all the golden statues that he's going to be desperate to erect in the next 3 years, they're going to need 24-hour, 7-day-a-week security around the clock to defend those statues because they're all coming down. They're either going to get vandalized, spray painted, pranked, or just full on just taken down. I'm sorry to say, but that's probably an inevitability. This is not a well-respected or a popular president. So what is the Trump administration doing around in the U.S.? This is what they're doing. This shows you how low things have sunk. Thomas Massie is currently in a heated primary contest in Kentucky to hold on to his House seat. He's an actual constitutional conservative. There's only a few of them in government. Can count them on one hand. He's the leading one. And because he wanted the Epstein files released, because he was against the war in Iran, Israel and Trump have spent over $20 million for a House seat in Kentucky to basically oust him in the primaries by running some absolute clown against him. But this clown has basically got the biggest campaign war chest in the history of Congress just to get rid of Massie. because he didn't go with the program. Well, this is who now look who they're deploying to attack, and they're sending Pete Hegseth to Kentucky. Look at the advert here. It says featuring the Honorable Pete Hegseth. This is not an honorable person, and retired Navy SEAL Ed Gowring. There's the whole Navy SEAL spiel. The Navy SEAL spiel. Okay. Ed Gowring. That's who they're putting up. Unbelievable. So they're going to send the tattoo man. He's got the Jerusalem cross. He's ready for anything in the world of tattoos and hard liquor. And I don't want to get into it, but there's quite a few accusations against Pete Hegseth. That's who they're sending. So how appropriate or inappropriate is it to send the defense secretary to campaign against a Republican? It's the Republican White House. But that's how sort of thin-skinned and vindictive Trump is. He's a real nasty individual. And the honorable Pete, there's no honor in what these people are doing. They're taking foreign money and also inserting themselves into smear and defamation campaigns against a congressman in good standing in his district. That's what they're doing. And Hegseth shows you what a prostitute this guy is. I mean, look at this guy. That's the state of our government right now. You've got people like this, just covered from head to toe in tattoos, all sort of derogatory religious fanaticism. I don't want to go through one by one to tell you what he's got emblazoned on his body, but these are, I don't know, no standards. Anyway, the fact of sending him to go and trash Thomas Massie tells you all you need to know. Pete Hegseth works for Israel. Be very clear about that. He's campaigned publicly for the rebuilding of the third temple and the return of the red heifer. Pete Hegseth. He believes he's a crusader, and he believes he's on a crusade. And he's got the Jerusalem cross on the right side of his chest, tattooed. I mean, an absolute religious nut job. No qualifications whatsoever in the military, other than he was a major reservist from Minnesota, got kicked out of the D.C. National Guard, probably because of his religious fanaticism, maybe, or his alcoholism. I'm not quite sure. But the Israel lobby wanted him head of the Pentagon. They needed people that would prosecute an illegal war against Iran. And they wanted somebody who had a checkered past, so they would do whatever they're told in order to defend this miracle career opportunity that they've been offered. And that's why you select people like this. They'll do exactly what they're told. It's like pulling someone out of jail and then putting him in head of a company, and say, look, do what you're told and you'll have all this. That's kind of like that story with Pete Hegseth. Anyway, beyond embarrassing. It'll be even more embarrassing if Thomas Massie wins this primary. We'll know. When will we know? We'll know on Tuesday. Prayers with Thomas Massie, folks. That's all we can say. So, theme of the show, St. George was a Palestinian. So who is St. George? So you've probably seen the flag. That's you see our version of it here. It's the red sort of cross on a white flag. That's the English flag. You'll see that with the football matches. England's kind of strange, Britain, because they'll compete in the Olympics as Great Britain, but in the World Cup, they'll be England. I can't explain it, but anyway, so it's associated with patriotism, and now it's been revitalized to mean Christian nationalism. But that's the cross of St. George. And St. George you see depicted in iconography here, slaying the dragon. St. George slayed the dragon. Well, you can get into the different interpretations of that story. and but you can't deny some of the facts of history here. And what's interesting is when we go to these rallies, we went to the Tommy Robinson rally this weekend, as well as the 78th anniversary of the Nakba. So we went to the Palestinian demonstration and then attended the Tommy Robinson, quote, "Unite the Kingdom." It's a little bit of confusion. They can't decide if the kingdom is the United Kingdom, which is Great Britain, or if it's the English kingdom. So that, again, a little bit of contradictions, a little bit of confusion there on the part of you could say, I mean, you could say the far right. I don't like to necessarily use that word, but they are so far to the right at this point with their religious nationalism that really dominates their whole spiel now, that it's hard. I mean, there is a sort of fascist zeal there that we witnessed. We'll show more of that during the week. We'll have a report. Probably the UK column will have a report out some point this week, including vox pops and interviews with people in the street and so forth. A lot of footage. I mean, I was shocked at what I saw. But anyway, I went to both. Huge difference between both. The Palestinian Nakba commemoration. The Nakba is 1948, when the Israeli terrorists, Israel had and was recognized as terrorist groups. These were Jewish terrorist organizations, the Haganah, the Stern Gang, the Lehi, the Irgun. These were recognized as terrorist groups by countries, even Britain and maybe even the United States. Recognize these as Jewish terrorist groups. These were full of Eastern European militants, basically, that were deployed down to the Holy Land to terrorize the native Palestinian population in order to drive them out of their villages and towns. And that's called the Nakba, the massacre and ethnic cleansing of the native Palestinian population in 1948, in order to establish the state of Israel. That's how Israel was born. As well as the Israeli terrorists killed British soldiers and British officials, bombing hotels, all sorts of things. There were hangings. I mean, it was nasty. And then they became the IDF. The Haganah and these terrorist organizations were then incorporated and called the Israeli Defense Force. That's history. So anyway, why we're saying this is, when you go to these rallies, they're all flying the Israeli flag, as well as the Cross of St. George, the English flag. We might have some video footage here. Let me see if we can bring up some of this for you. But when they and the Iranian royalist flag, this was the other prominent addition, was the Iranian flag with the lion, the Pahlavi royalist family. And Tommy Robinson's campaigning for the reinstallment of the Shah in Iran. He's openly doing this publicly. So it's kind of bizarre. It's just this cacophony of flags and heraldry and all sorts of things. No focus. By contrast, the Palestinian march was very focused. End to the occupation, end apartheid, end the genocide, release the Palestinian hostages, all 9,000 of them, including women and children that are being raped systematically, according to the New York Times and all international human rights organizations, as well as Israeli human rights organizations. Palestinian hostages in what they call prisons, but they're not given any due process or trials. They're being systematically abused, tortured, and raped. That's come out. So that's why you're seeing all this October 7th propaganda being pushed by Israeli media and Israeli sort of pro-Israeli institutions in the West. They're trying to drown out all the reports coming out showing the real evil side of Israel, more war crimes. As I said before, if we had a tribunal, it would take decades to prosecute all these people because they don't have any rules. They don't have any ethical or moral frameworks guiding them at all. They've got nothing. It's a free-for-all of the worst kind of behavior, and these are some of the worst people in history. They're doing things that, quite frankly, no one saw during World War II. at the height of horror, as people like to refer that to. What's happened in what the Israelis have been up to against the native Palestinian population exceeds everything that we've seen in the modern era. It's quite extraordinary. So anyway, we just point that out, that the irony that all these people that call themselves Christian nationalists who wave the cross of St. George, are they aware that St. George is a Palestinian? Wow. So his father, he was born in Cappadocia. That's in Turkey. So his father would be nominally Turkish. But his mother was a Palestinian. And he grew up in Palestine, and he spent most of his life in Palestine. And St. George, yes, St. George, that St. George is regarded as a patron saint of Palestine. Why? He's revered by Palestinians because of his bravery, fighting oppression, and standing up against evil, which are Palestinian values, not Israeli values, as we can see. But St. George, the patron saint of Palestine, the irony of that, of people that call themselves Zionists in the sort of English national, Christian nationalist kind of this kind of fanatical religious movement that's being pushed by Tommy Robinson, they're wearing a Palestinian flag, effectively, the cross of St. George. It represents a Palestinian hero. Little uncomfortable fact of history, a little bit, just a bit. So here's a speech we're going to play. This is by Halima Khan, and she's a former Labour Party, UK Labour Party official. She's, I believe, I'm not sure if she still is, but I believe she's with the Workers' Party of Britain at the moment. That's George Galloway's party. Hawes as well, who's been on the program, our program, who's probably watching right now. Hello, Hawes, if you're watching. Appreciate you. So you have to hear this speech. I posted this on my socials, and it's just extraordinary. So this is Halima Khan at an event probably in London somewhere, but we'll show this, and this is something. So watch and be.
Message to those who want to divide our country, to those who are the cheerleaders of Israel, we tell them we do not fear this flag. We do not fear the flag of St. George, because if St. George was alive today, if he was a child today, Israel would have tried to kill him and his mother for being Palestinian. If St. George was alive today, Israelis would be spitting on his face as he walks through the streets of Jerusalem. If St. George was alive today, Israel would be the beast he is fighting. So tell the Zionists, you will not steal this identity from the English. This identity is tied with the Palestinians, as St. George is the patron saint of Palestine. The only other place you see this flag flown is in St. George's Cathedral in Sheikh Jarrah, East Jerusalem. It is in Bethlehem where Jesus was born. It is in St. George's Monastery, all land that Israel is trying to steal.
And I'll add to that, okay, she's laid it out there. In addition to that, I believe the Israelis have destroyed the Church of St. George in South Lebanon, if I'm not mistaken. And they took down the statue of St. George in the West Bank, if I'm not mistaken. That was a few years ago. The South Lebanon destruction of the St. George Church, I believe, was this year. That's saying nothing about the destruction, planting explosives in the shrine of St. Peter and shelling the mausoleum of Simon Peter, both apostles of Jesus Christ. That's to say nothing about the oldest Christian churches in the region. One of the three oldest was in Gaza. Israel specifically targeted it early in the genocide to wipe it out. They wanted to erase Israel is systematically targeting historical Christian sites that provide a rival narrative in terms of the history of the region. They're now targeting the ancient city of Tyre. They're bombing Sidon. This is where Jesus had his sermons on the hillside. It's where he multiplied the fish and the bread. All these stories in the New Testament where he walked, where his apostles were buried, where they lived, all being destroyed by the Israelis. So while you're flying the Israeli flag and supporting Israel because you think that they're, killing the Muslims and doing God's work, killing those infidels, okay, what the Christian Zionists believe are, evil. Islam is evil. That's their whole shtick. That's all they had, really, at this rally we went to. Nothing about the economy, nothing about anything, but basically, yeah, we need to, fight Islam. It's evil. Meanwhile, the Jewish state of Israel is committing 3 genocides, one in Gaza, one in the West Bank, and now one in South Lebanon, and threatening a 4th against Iran. Israel Katz, the defense minister, threatened total annihilation of Iran 3 weeks ago. And as well, Donald Trump has threatened the annihilation of Iran as well. So it's just genocide, wall-to-wall genocide in deed and in word. And yet somehow Islam is the great enemy. Okay, right. We'll let here's Halima Khan with the rest of this.
Yet in England, they have been fooled into believing that the Israeli flag is compatible with this flag. Beyond Palestine, this flag also represents the class divide in Britain. The upper and the middle classes choose to prefer the Union Jack as they are the classes that benefited from colonialism. Now let me tell you something about Britain. The last colonies of the British Empire is England, it's Scotland, it's Wales, and it's Northern Ireland. So when we say that we are going to resist the empire who gifted Israel the land of Palestine, we are also resisting the empire that oppresses the working class people of Britain. Hope Not Hate, an organization that works closely with the BBC, wrote an article about the Operation Raise the Colours, and it said that it is far-right extremism. Are we going to fall for their lies and their deception and their distractions? Do the patriots know that the director of Hope Not Hate is Baroness Ruth Smith, Labour friend of Israel, who began her career working for Britain Israel Communications and Research Center? Now, are we going to allow Israel to steal the identity of England?
Wow. So she just dropped it. A big one there. Halima Khan. Powerful. All true. All true. Powerful because it's true. That's a very powerful speaker. Very impressive. So she's done, and you know what very few have done, but more are understanding. That's why I loved when I saw this, is connecting the situation in Palestine. The creation of the state of Israel was a British colonial creation. Britain, the elites in Britain wanted an outpost in the Levant. They wanted a colony, a European colony there, loyal to Europe, loyal to the crown, loyal to the United States. That was the colonial settler project known as Israel. Britain is responsible for it, but doesn't want to take any responsibility for the devastation that followed, that continues to go today. So the violence The amount of countries that Israel has bombed, attacked, the amount of people they've killed, the amount of people they've got the U.S. to bomb, attack, and kill in the region, it's just beyond. This all happened with the creation of the state of Israel. You can't blame the Arabs. The Arabs were promised a state by the British, but the British said in World War I, the British said, "Help us defeat the Ottomans," because we need to defeat the Ottomans because they're allied with the Germans. We can't allow Germany to have access to the oil fields of Mosul and Kirkuk in northern Iraq. We can't allow that. So ally with us, help us to defeat the Ottomans, hence defeat the Germans, and we'll give you an Arab state. That was the promise the British made. Then what they did is the Arabs said, fine, they did their job. They died. They spilled blood for the British. They fought. Were they given their estate? No. The French and the British stabbed the Arabs in the back after the First World War. They didn't give them anything. Instead, they created the Jewish state of Israel. And then and literally imported people from Europe after the Second World War that formed literal terrorist groups and just were massacring Palestinians, stealing homes, stealing land, and driving them out of the country. And then whoever stayed was under a brutal military occupation. In the case of Gaza, they're being genocided. In the West Bank, a slower genocide, but a faster one in South Lebanon, because Israel wants to now expand their borders. This is a disaster. Who started it? Historically, it's Britain, supported by the U.S. and later the French. That's the real story. There wouldn't be all these wars happening. You wouldn't have this instability. It's a direct result of that. And I think hopefully more people will wake up to it, especially when you hear amazing speeches like this from Halima Khan. So there we are. Those are the facts. They might be uncomfortable. They might make you upset. You might not like them, but those are facts. So here's just a view. We'll wrap this up quickly for a minute, but here's a view of this was the West End here. So I filmed this one, but I was here with my colleague and put a more detailed kind of a little mini documentary together, comparing the two events. I mean, there couldn't be more stark. This was secular, no religion at all here, political. You see the signs, end the genocide, end apartheid, stop the war in Iran. It's a very secular anti-war march. Pretty straightforward and pretty much the same thing that I've seen for decades. Okay. No extremism, no religious fanaticism. Didn't see any of it. I personally spoke to probably a few hundred people. It was exhausting, but anyway, that's what you have to do. That's what I always do anyway. And saw the length and the width, the breadth of this march. Very together, very intelligent, very geopolitically minded, these people. So that's that. Okay. And it was interesting that this is a new addition here, hands off Iran. So the Iran war has really energized this. So you can thank Donald Trump and Netanyahu for really energizing this anti-war movement by attacking Iran and proving what their real agenda is. And so that's something that's a new one, a new addition. Here's plasticine action. There's Morph. Inside joke. We oppose AI-generated animation. This is that's a pastiche on Palestine action, obviously. Very clever. Very clever. So anyway, that's the sort of talent You'll find there. And this was this. I would say this was the piece de la resistance. Although I'll show you something that will top this. This was from the Iranian royalists. You see the golden lion there? They're basically saying, "Thank you, Trump. Ali Khamenei, this Iran supreme leader, is dead!" Explanation point, and then sort of godlike sun rays coming from behind a photoshopped picture of Sleepy Dawn. Thank you, Trump, for killing the Iranian supreme leader. This was the sort of deranged fanaticism you saw from the Iranian royalists. Talk about unhinged. These people, next level, next level. But that's not the piece de la resistance. This one has to be the ultimate. That's the ultimate. So, I mean, you got Israeli flags, Iranian Pahlavi flags, royalists, and then you have things like this is just a monstrosity of, oh my goodness, of a hybrid to, what can we say? But that's emblematic of what the Tommy Robinson sort of cult is into right now. This is the story. It's just a mishmash of all kinds of iconography. Nobody understands why they do any of this. They just are basically running with the symbols, believing that it all kind of feeds into an anti-Islamic kind of mission, and that's really the whole defining purpose of it all. That's their mission there. So I know it's extraordinary, but I think we do it. Yeah, we have a clip of. Here's a clip of Tommy Robinson basically shilling for the Iranian monarch, Reza Pahlavi. I mean, this is just something else. See if we bring this one up. Here, we'll bring this up for a second.
Let me see a round of applause.
He's a bit confused.
The royalist flag? Yeah.
He's very high energy, though, Tommy. He's very high energy. He's like Zelensky. He is a high octane performer.
Oh, yeah? They're fighting, they're dying. Let's recognise them today. Whilst their families can't get in contact with them. They're brave, they're fearless. And right now, our next speaker was part of forming this movement.
So his Tommy Robinson's solution for a democratic Iran is the reinstallation of the king, Reza Pahlavi, freedom for Iran. So Reza Pahlavi complained. He said he wouldn't go to Iran because he doesn't know anybody. It's a joke, but that shows you how disconnected from reality people like Tommy Robinson are. If they had an election in Iran, like next month, I could probably get more votes than Reza Pahlavi. I'm not kidding. That's how unpopular, and people really don't care, don't even know him. It's almost insulting that he would even put himself up and present himself as a leader of a country that he has nothing to do with. His father was installed by the CIA. He was a fake. The whole monarch line of the family is fake. His father, the Shah, was installed by the CIA and British intelligence. That's why they had a revolution in 1979. It was getting back against the Americans and the British that basically overthrew their democratic government and installed a fake monarch, the father of that guy that Tommy's promoting. So you can't make it up. But you try to explain this to people like that, and it's just going to go in one ear and out the other, quite frankly. So it's pretty hopeless. But that's the shape of things, ladies and gentlemen. So, in summation, we can say that, St. George was a Palestinian. Deal with it. We're going to take a break in a moment. We'll connect with our colleagues in Overdrive. I'm sure we'll have plenty of interesting things to talk about, things to say, and we'll connect with our audience as well. We'll be featuring some of the better and more intelligent comments coming up. So hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Sunday Wire. We're live, and we'll be back in just a few minutes, so just stay with us.
Cover in the dark, secret wars are waged, quiet army sabotage, bloody tension remains, global faces of a crime, the sleight of hand betrays. Something slept inside their hearts as explosions rage. The system breaks as truth increases. The grip on us and the world order ceases. Behind the mask, it's falling to pieces. What comes next? Have they lost all reason? Paper empires catch a spark as vultures come to prey. Hollow kings are losing ground. Shadows of decay. Walls begin to show a crack as ancient echoes fade. Scales shall fall from blinded eyes, renewing all our faith. The system breaks as truth increases. The grip on us and the world order ceases. Behind the mask, it's falling to pieces. What comes next? Have they lost all reason? Eyes open wide. There's no disguise. Eyes open wide. The system breaks as truth increases. The grip on us and the world order ceases. Behind the mask, it's falling to pieces. What comes next? Have they lost all reason? The system breaks as truth increases. The grip on us and the world order ceases. Behind the mask, it's falling to pieces. What comes next? Have they lost all reason?
It's a fantastic track from the Real Anthem Band. Fantastic track. Very pleased to be able to feature that. Thank you very much to the artist as well, who is a absolute friend of the show. We'll be hopefully seeing more of their music and more tracks coming out. As well as some of the previous ones we'll play on heavy rotation, no doubt, as well as some of the other artists that we support on this show. So thank you to all the independent artists that we feature and providing their art to this program. Much appreciated. It's timely, relevant, and fantastic in their craft. So thank you again. We'll be joined in a moment by our colleagues from Alternate Current Radio, and we'll hopefully have a full panel today, I'm told. So I look forward to that. And well, before that, again, I want to give a shout out to those people who have been supporting our platform, 21stcenturywire.com. We've got a really nice stream of support after the last program. I think a lot of people appreciated the analysis. I think we'll probably get the same this week. We're trying to keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening now, and also not to steer too clear of any controversy. We're not afraid to cover some of these issues. We know that these are hot button issues for a lot of people, especially with sensitive to left and right, Christian, Muslim, etc. All these different sides of different paradigms, but we try to position ourselves as best we can in the middle. But there's some things that are just getting kind of outrageous, and you have to comment on them. And one of them is this kind of crazy Christian nationalist revival and the return of the Crusades that's going on. And the last thing I'll say about this, and I'll bring my colleagues in. On one hand, it's disturbing, but on the other hand, having actually witnessed it yesterday, it's and look, I'm not exaggerating here at all. In fact, I'm probably going easy. Half the people at the Tommy Robinson rally were intoxicated, okay, visibly, and a decent percentage were totally hammered. So you're literally kicking beer cans and bottles as you walked down Whitehall. So this, including around all of the war memorials, it was a little bit disrespectful. It's like a giant rave. And everyone was just, half the people were off their heads. Now, that's not a serious movement, okay? It's a circus, is what it is. But it's a circus that's being financed directly by people like Elon Musk, who is injecting his cash into the UK to fund all of these massive productions. So why do the billionaire class want a race war? That's our question. Or for the same reason they want a war. Because they can use that war, provides them with contracts. They suck off the public purse, get our governments to go in debt, ultimately to the bankers. So the bankers get our governments in debt, have to transfer all this money to pay for all this military largesse that ends up going into the pockets, that money, of who? The billionaire class that hold the contracts. And who do they hang out with on the weekends? The bankers. So what about us? Where's the trickle-down economics? No. We have to go and fight the wars. That's what we get. Free college. Play your cards right, you'll get free college. That's what they give the plebs on that. It's just so corrupt, the entire system. People are starting to figure it out, starting to see it. Certainly Real Anthem Band spells us out in their music. But anyway, we can go on, and we'll get some insights. We'll also we'll chime in as well with more comments from our audience as well. Let me bring on to the stage Bryan McClain, also known as Hesher, George and the Dragon, beautiful stained glass. There is sending subliminal messages. I can see the dragon.
Well, look what's in the middle too. We got quite the explosion happening there.
Yeah, you're covering that up nicely.
Mm-hmm. It's like the action star scene, right, where the explosion happens behind you and you just keep walking and you don't look back.
Yeah, we can. Let's work on animating that. Ruckus doesn't have an explosion. He has a hole in the church. That must be in South Lebanon.
Or it could be Gaza. Yeah, this was the base image that I started with for the thing we got going on behind Hesher there. But yes, boy, that was actually not that easy. I'm not going to lie, but it was fun.
I'll bet you it wasn't. Yeah. So guys, I mean, what's your thinking behind these issues and the inspiration for your sort of background artwork this week? you're definitely saying things with the symbolism there. So walk us through how you think and feel about this in context.
I'll let Ruckus take first stab at that.
Go for it,
Well, I
Ruckus.
mean, it was just purely inspired by your title and the theme of the show, and that what you just shared earlier, that message from that young lady. So I was like, oh, this would be neat to do some sort of, because I ran through some of the photos of recent in the last 5 to 6 years of Israel continuously just blowing up Christian sites, and that I was like, well, what if I could take some of those and superimpose them together? And then I thought, well, it's George and the Dragon, but I mean. These are the symbologies. You see these types of stained glass windows inside of churches out there in the UK, I'm sure, but also in some of these sites that were blown up by Israel, probably with U.S. paid for weaponry, funded by U.S. tax dollars. Way to go, Zionist Christians. Yay, right? It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. So I just wanted to try to convey all of that. And the picture behind Hesher is the destruction and the explosion. And obviously you can see which flag is overlaid, which side. I don't think I need to say more. Who is St. George and who is the dragon? I wonder.
Well, the far right will say that the dragon is Islam. That's what they'll say. That's what the dragon.
Well,
represents.
Islam didn't blow up all those Christian sites that I mentioned. Now, did they?
Yeah, exactly. So this is all Crusader lore and interpretations of the Crusades. And this is all becoming very much in vogue now, sort of drawing on these old, Christian Crusader, Christian nationalist themes. That's what Pete Hegseth's all about. That's what this whole sort of, Mike Huckabee, John Hagee, Jay Dyer also talks about a lot of this stuff. He's been talking about this stuff more recently. That's what all this stuff is. And they're just revitalizing it again, breathing it, trying to breathe new life and to motivate the masses. For what? That's the question. For what?
For a campaign
what's the end game? What's the end game?
For a campaign that bombs their very own historical sites, that's why I love the theme of this show. It's one of the most underreported things, maybe next to what's actually happening and next to how many women and children and non-combatants have been, deleted from the planet. None of that, right? Like that's all. None of that. We don't get any of that. But on top of not getting any of that, we also don't get these facts. We don't get the facts that, hey, the right wing of the U.S. government right now is going around peacocking as though they are some kind of, heralding administration for the Third Temple and the Red Heifer and all this stuff, right? So evangelical. If you're unfortunate enough to watch dreaded TPUSA, you get the drift, right? You get the gist, the theme. There it is right there. Petey Hegseth, and he's rocking, what looks like Templar stuff and vet bro stuff, right? Super marketable to certain demographics, a dwindling demographic. There he is. Oh, Crusaders are so cool. Templars are so cool. Well, you know what? The Crusades went on for a long time. The Templars had a very colored past, were basically kicked out and murdered. And then their past is rewritten by people like this over the years. So hundreds of years later, these idiots like this clown can say, oh, that's what this is all about. We're the saints and they're the dragons, and that's all there is to it. Like they completely rely on people not understanding the detailed history of the Crusades, of the Templars, of the colonialists, and all of that. So the fact that, to get back to the point here, the fact that that these military campaigns, these ethnic cleansing campaigns are destroying ancient religious sites, not just of Christianity, but of all of the region, so that they can reset it, is it should horrify those very same target audience, voting block MAGA holders' honors. It should horrify them that ancient churches are being blown up. It should horrify them that Christians in Syria and in Lebanon are being, tortured and murdered and stuff like this. But no, we don't have a journalistic media here in the United States. We have a mockingbird parroting MK Ultra propaganda machine that isn't even run by our elected officials and should not be legally allowed.
Yeah, and just to add insult to injury, we'll bring Petey up, back up on screen again. This is an ad for him to go down to Kentucky to campaign against Thomas Massey. Ridiculous. To go and smear Thomas Massey. They poured $25 million to oust him from a House primary campaign to prevent him from keeping his congressional seat, making up all kinds of lies about him, his wife. I mean, it's kind of disgusting, really. I mean, the amount of money that they have to waste to get him out because he's the only one that was pushing for the release of the Epstein files. That kind of tells you all you need to know about how corrupt the Trump administration is. And
they're not serious about doing it either, Patrick. Otherwise, it would not be 25 million. It would be 33 million, clearly. Then we would know we're onto something, right?
Yeah, if it was 33 million, then we'd have a real proper conspiracy. Maybe it'll get to 33 million by Tuesday. Who knows? At the rate they're spending right now, it's just mind-boggling numbers for a House primary election. Yeah, IPAC is ramping it up. They totally are ramping it up. Totally ramping it up. Why even have one dissenter? I mean, not that Massey is going to make a difference, but they're really just paranoid, worried.
Right? They can't allow one guy. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene's out, right? She's probably fled the country at this point. How long before Thomas Massey has to flee the country? Like, what are, I take everything I hear that these people are dealing with a grain of salt, but I look at their X feeds and I look at some of the stuff written under them, and it's like, my goodness, my own X feed makes me want to leave the country sometimes. These people's looks scary. You know what I mean? So we can't even have two people in the House that will criticize this. Like, no. This government is willing to just blow $20 million on some blowhard that nobody wants, just so those voices will be silenced in any sort of legislative way. That really is a benchmark for where we're at right now. There's 535 people on Capitol Hill, something like that, roundabout, plus or minus. We can't have two. Do you understand that the voting power of those two people is nothing? Unfortunately, sorry, Thomas, but we appreciate the, the voice and the legislation you attempt to bring, but holy crap, look how hard. I mean, him, MTG, a couple others basically had to, forgive the metaphor, piss away their entire political career to make those points and put them and their families and their sponsors and their loved ones all on the chopping block. And this is what they get.
Well, if the Democrats, or if it's a close House race in November, then those 2 or 3 votes could mean the world. Actually,
it's true. Yeah, that's right.
So at the moment, not. But
and why don't they care about that, Patrick? I don't understand that.
Well, they're not all playing for the same team. Clearly, they're not all playing for America either. I think there's no question about that. Dirk the Daring, was that his name? Dirk the Daring in Dragon's Lair?
Yeah, it was definitely Dirk. I think it is the Daring, though. Yeah,
let's say Pete Hegseth looks like Dirk from Dragon's Lair. Any resemblance there? Hegseth should honor his Norwegian pantheist origins. If he only knew how brutal Charlemagne was to them. Oh God, please, you guys. Honestly, Don't make it worse, chat. Please don't make it worse. Make war, not Massey. I don't know. That doesn't really make sense. Nice try, though. Yeah, that's what's going on, folks. So meanwhile, Trump is engorging himself. He's back from China. He's engorging himself at McDonald's and Little Caesar. Apparently, Trump is a big fan of crazy bread from Little Caesars, I'm told. He has a very strange taste in food, doesn't he, the president?
That sounds like a heart attack meal right there.
Yeah. So anyway, what'd you guys and any thoughts on the Chinese episode of Entourage? What did you guys think of that? I mean, just brought every globalist. Like, it didn't leave anybody out. I mean, it's kind of a joke, isn't it? Because there were no deals there. It's almost like they're going to beg the Chinese for access to the Chinese market. That's how I read it. Because China's not begging any of these guys for like, oh, please give us more of your electric cars. Give us more of your cell phones.
Where's the Donald Trump that was always like saying China as though the word itself was a pejorative? Now he's taking the whole entourage there and having a little, creepy vacation, little staycation with Z, accomplishing nothing. Or maybe if there was anything accomplished, we don't get to hear about it. That's the thing that scares me. Maybe there was something accomplished that's not fit for public distribution.
I don't know.
No way. There's no way. There's no way. What was accomplished is what everyone's already analyzing and realizing. Oh, no, we just went and embarrassed the F out of ourselves on the world stage in front of everybody, didn't we? Yep, that's what we did.
And Trump came away, and afterwards he said, "Look, we're selling. They wanted 150. I gave them 200 Boeings." And then journalists asked the Chinese, "What about this Boeing order?" And Chinese were like, "What Boeing order?" kind of thing. And then all these things they asked the Chinese about, and the Chinese are like, I think the Chinese didn't want to embarrass Trump, so they didn't want to come out and say, "Sorry, there's no such deal took place." They just said, "We're focusing on positive future, this and that." So they just gave this kind of vague answers to all these questions. If you saw the press conference, because they didn't want to like throw Trump in the under the bus. But that's what you're dealing with. There's not a diplomat among any of those people. Do you realize they're all just grifters, bankers, globalists, and just
Got some good video clips of Elon,
wealthy
though.
degenerates.
Right? And rolling his eyes and looking weird and making faces, and Marco Rubio staring at the ceiling, all sorts of crazy stuff out of this, but nothing serious, nothing like a diplomatic meeting, not what you would expect since this is historical, sort of, right? First time in how many years?
9 years for Trump, and I don't think the Biden administration actually did a state visit to China. I think Blinken they did an Alaska summit, and the Chinese walked out after Blinken insulted them. I can't remember what it was, but it was
probably played guitar for them or something.
Yeah, he probably broke out the guitar. I think Pete plays, he might play an instrument as well. I'm not sure. Basil Valentine is joining us on the live link right now.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
What are your thoughts? We a couple of things. I'd like to get your thoughts on the theme of today's show, Basil, which is, did you know that St. George was a Palestinian, and that St. George is the patron saint of Palestine, regarded by Palestinians as the patron saint of Palestine for his bravery and fighting evil? The question is, who's the dragon?
Good question. Yeah, some people interpret it as one's own inner demons are represented by the dragon. In alchemical symbolism, that can be the case. Apparently, the action where he fought the dragon took place in Cappadocia, modern-day Turkey, but his mother was of Palestinian origin. So understandably, he's claimed by Palestinians. But all these subtleties and niceties were completely lost on the so-called Unite the Kingdom rally attendees yesterday in central London. I gather you were there, Patrick.
Yes, I was. I went to both events, and I was able to compare. One was secular, the other was religious extremism. and it's not what people would normally they would associate. They'd like to associate religious extremism with pro-Palestinian marches, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case. The Palestinian March was totally secular, very clear political messaging: stop the apartheid, stop the genocide, no war in Iran. It's all very cut and dry. But the Tommy Robinson Unite the Kingdom, it was just a cacophony of flags, heraldry, symbols, tropes, all kinds of things. We tried to talk to people and get it straight. The only thing that was consistent was we need to stop Islam. That's it. That's the sort of uniting principle. They can't even Basil, decide on whether they're a British nationalist or an English nationalist. There's a little bit of a problem there in terms of uniting the kingdom. And I asked one guy about what do you think about Scottish independence? Oh, I think the Scottish should be independent. I said, well, that's not going to unite the kingdom. Well, that's that. And then you get into talk about the Welsh, and it's a mess. I'm like Cornish independence. Cornish independence.
Yeah, well,
Kurnow.
Yeah,
Kurnow
that's
now.
right.
Kurnow now.
Yeah, well, you've been down there, Patrick. You live very close. You know what a fiercely independent spirit they have down there. Certainly,
absolutely, they got a good case.
Absolutely, but I really have some sympathy. I mean, I feel sorry for a lot of the people on the so-called Unite the Kingdom march, because the white working class in Britain have been completely ignored by the so-called mainstream parties, the legacy parties, the parties that have governed England, Britain since the Second World War, endlessly derided and votes taken for granted. And they've seen their communities change in ways that they never voted for. Now, Robinson achieved prominence through highlighting quite a genuine grievance, really, which was, of course, the largely Pakistani rape gangs grooming underage English girls and passing them around as sex toys. Now, of course, not only Pakistanis that do this, and indeed the whole Epstein class, guilty. And, but the problem was that it emerged that police and social services had been reluctant to move against these gangs because they were from an ethnic minority, and the moving against them might appear racist.
Actually, no. The report, the police were involved in the cover-up because they were benefiting from the ring.
Right.
There's that.
Even
and
worse.
That's a kind of common
Even
problem,
worse.
Isn't it? Doesn't that normally happen with police?
Even worse. So people rallied round Robinson's flag, for want of a better expression, on the basis of a genuine horror story. Now they are being funneled into Zionism and hatred for all things associated with Islam, anti-Palestinianism, which has nothing to do with the original grievance. But, the majority of his supporters don't have the sophisticated analysis to realize that they're being duped. And it's really very sad, to be perfectly honest, because a lot of them would actually have a lot more in common with the people on the anti-genocide march than they realize. Every decent human being is anti-genocide, but of course, the corporate media and indeed talking head politicians, Kemi Badenoch, particularly egregious example, the leader of the Tory party, but also Farage and the vast majority of those on the right are in full genocide denial mode. They ignore, as you mentioned earlier, the destruction of Christian places of worship, monasteries, Christian villages, wholesale slaughter of Christians by Israel in Lebanon. They just simply don't count at all. But that's because, then it's not focused on by legacy media, certainly in Britain, no doubt in the United States as well. A tremendous underreporting of that, certainly in the kind of publications or websites that the people on Robinson's march would read or come into contact with. They're probably completely unaware of the avowedly anti-Christian nature of Zionism. That's all covered up by this hatred of Muslims, which the which yesterday's event was all about, including those disgraceful scenes where some women dressed up in niqabs and, came on stage all in sort of traditional Sunni gear, Saudi type gear, and then whipped it all off on stage. That was quite extraordinary. Now, there is a phalanx, of course, on the far right who are anti-Zionist, and there's a crowd, I think, called British Vanguard, where they're displaying a banner saying "End the Zionist occupation of Britain." Interestingly enough, commentators from the dying media like Nick Cohen, who writes for The Guardian and The Observer, and other Labour Party supporting Zionists have taken to social media to say, look, these sides are as bad as each other. You've got, End Zionism banner here at the far right march. I mean, as I say, that is it's the sort of traditional far right thing is, of course, to be anti-Zionist. This whole co-opting of the far right by the Zionist movement is a recent phenomenon within the last 5 years.
What? No, wait, hold on. Now, Hitler was a Zionist. He wanted Israel in order to export the Jewish population from Europe. Big supporter, as were the Rothschilds. So
Okay.
there is that.
Let's say most post-war nationalist movements. But having said that, the National Rally, Le Pen's crowd in France are fiercely Zionist, as has been Viktor Orban, because, of course, to them it represents the same brand of ethno-nationalism that they support. But there is, for want of a better expression, a sector on the far right in Britain who are extremely suspicious of Jewish interests. Okay, let's put it that way. And they were represented yesterday. So anyway, back to the sort of so-called liberal Zionist commentators, the Nick Cohen's of the world and Luke Akehurst.
Nick Cohen married to Douglas Murray. Is that correct?
I can't confirm.
Look that up. His husband is Nick Cohen, a writer, a British columnist. I assume that's the same Nick Cohen.
One would assume so, yes.
That's Douglas Murray's squeeze.
Wow. Well, Cohen has always presented himself. I know. That is, if that's true, that's perhaps more than I can take on at the moment, Patrick. But Nick Cohen, it's not something I want to picture, but Nick Cohen presents himself anyway as being left of center, as being this sort of, ultimately moderate, left of center Zionist or whatever, although he's moved further and further to the right, perhaps as a result of his association with Douglas Murray. And they've been decrying the fact that there is what they perceive as this anti-Semitism, because as far as they're concerned, anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism on both the right and the left, and throwing their hands up in horror, oh my God. And also actually disappointed that there have been Israel flags at the far right rally, at the Robinson rally, because they believe it discredits the Zionist cause to be associated with the likes of Robinson.
Yeah, there's the hybrid one, just too much. That was the piece de la resistance of the event. Now here's a comment here. Atheist Christian Zionist Tommy Robinson working for atheist secular Jews with a following of secular Christians. It's a bit contradictory. It says, eat your groceries. Well, yeah, it is, in about 3 different directions.
Absolutely.
So I'll get to you in a sec, Basil, but my observation was that everyone, they had all these Christian preachers up there, including the Bishop Kai Dewar.
An old chum of mine.
It was like a fascist rally. And they were handing out big wooden crosses, like the kind you could have over your shoulder. That this was like a walk of perdition up Whitehall. I mean, it was just unbelievable. But I'm like, how many of these people will be in church tomorrow? I thought this was yesterday.
Very few.
I think a very small percentage, not least of all because they're hungover. But besides that, you won't find them in church. That was their church. That going to those rallies is their sort of 6-month religious experience, right? It's kind of a rave. There's alcohol. There's Jesus up on stage. I was waiting for Russell Brand to appear from behind the bushes to proselytize. I mean, that would have made it perfect. How long can we get Russell on board with this Tommy Robinson movement? That would be special, wouldn't it?
Well, you know, the term rabble rouser could have been invented for Robinson, couldn't it? I came through Victoria Station as people were coming away from the march, and his name was being chanted football hooligan style, you know, as well as a cry I heard of "Who the F is Allah," you know, as well. So there's, you know, there's a big problem here. Although the far right rally didn't attract the numbers that they'd hoped for, nevertheless, it still represents a significant slice of generally, you know, petty bourgeois and working class British community. And there's going to be a big test, of course, in the coming weeks in the Makerfield by-election, where Rupert Lowe's Restore Britain are running a candidate. He's announced that, even though Reform would appear to be the most likely challengers to Andy Burnham running for Labour, should he do so. Restore Britain are going to run a candidate, and they are much closer to the views Robinson was espousing from the platform yesterday. In fact, I don't know if you picked this up, but at one point he was exhorting the crowd simply to vote, to say, you know, get involved in politics, vote, whether it's Restore, Reform, or Conservative. You must get involved in politics. And then he asked the audience to shout out the name of the party they supported. And it was a cacophony of noise, but Robinson went, I think that's Restore Britain I can hear. Now, Restore Britain is a long way to the right of Reform, and wants to see mass deportations of all undocumented migrants at first. I mean, and who knows, possibly even move on to the settled, Pakistani population of this country, people who've committed no criminal offense whatsoever, or, you know, we'll see. I mean, it's really sort of off the charts. So I find it very disappointing that, well, particularly disappointing that the crowd yesterday, as I say, have been duped into supporting ultra violence against indigenous Palestinians in their homeland. That's total hijacking, misdirection, blindfolding, brainwashing, propaganda, all the other things we know. Muslims are bad. It's Muslims that are raping our girls in Britain. Palestinians are mostly Muslims, therefore they're bad too. And as you displayed there, that Israeli symbol superimposed over a Union Jack. But I've detected sort of more pushback against that symbolism, including on the right. I think a lot of patriots are extremely uncomfortable with that, and they don't associate with Israel. And if you look at the optics of the so-called anti-Semitism rally last weekend in London, which was very poorly attended and was similarly hijacked by the pro-Israel mob, and yesterday's event, they're almost interchangeable. Certainly the flag carriers at the front, there would appear to be very possibly a lot of the same individuals and groups.
I don't want to put you on the spot, Basil, but I just wanted to know where you stand on. Hold on, I just saw this. British Pirateers of Sands. Yes, we are the pirate nation. Britain is the pirate nation. Basil, can you go on record? Do you support? Hold on. Do you support Plasticine Action?
Yeah, I'm willing to say on camera I support Plasticine Action.
And you oppose AI generated animation?
Actually, I think it's got a lot going. I think it's got a lot going for it. I don't know if you've seen any of those Chloe versus History.
I haven't, but I bought a kit. I bought a morph kit. I haven't stop motion animation kit. I haven't started filming yet, but I will. But and we can do some very subversive work with stop motion animation, as you know. It's just very time consuming, but I think I
sometimes think we're living in a stop motion world, frankly, Patrick. You know,
it's very slow to set it all up. But when it do you remember Jason and the Argonauts? When you get rolling,
those, Harryhausen, wasn't it? The
Titans. Remember the Kraken?
Yeah, great movies. Some of those effects are fantastic. Yeah. So anyway, I support plasticine action.
That's right, and you support Morph. Is Morph?
Right.
I hope is he your leader? Is he your dear leader? I think Morph has a lot to offer. We should put him up as a candidate in the next election. Maybe he can run in the Macclesfield by-election. Charlie Hebdo. Yes, we are all Charlie Hebdo. Thank you very much. Okay, gentlemen. We're going to hold it. Sinbad. That's another one. Sinbad. Great stop motion action. These are all the classics. These are all the best films. There's something more. The first Star Wars was stop motion. It was all stop motion, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. Some real work went into that. Is that sort of work ever going to go into films again?
I hope so. And I do actually. I've seen a couple of films recently that were using practical effects. More costumes, more miniatures and stuff like that. But normally they're Norwegian films, or they're definitely not mainstream Hollywood style stuff. So there are people, I think, out there, true artists amongst directors and DPs out there that still do this, but they are in a I don't want to say a losing race, because there will always be people that say no to this. There will always be a market for someone to put pen to paper or whatever, whatever their craft is, or miniatures to film. But it's getting way too easy to use the AIs.
Here we go. Mr. Moto So says, stop motion sounds like my first marriage.
We're sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moto So. That'll be.
We're here all week.
That's a comment of the week right there.
Patrick, did you see who else was in China with Trump and his entourage?
I think you're about to show me.
The American press.
Show me, aren't you?
No, I just was curious if you saw they had the Fox News people out there hanging out. And of course, Hannity did his sit-down interview with Trump. But did you hear the news that Brett Baer got a ticket for double parking?
Yeah, he was also blocking traffic, nearly got killed and trying to stand in the intersection. A man of action, Brett Baer Special Report. It's kind of a lame name for a program, a Special Report.
Yeah.
They always say, hey, Brett Baer is host of Special Report. And it's like a lot of creativity went into that one.
Yeah, we need to really think about the word special on that one, about what it means.
Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yep, that's another good one too. Yeah. Plasticine action. That's right. Ray Harryhausen. That's the one. My wife is a stop motion animator. The industry is tiny and getting tinier, I think.
Yeah.
But hey, vinyl came back, right? Vinyl's kind of come back. No one saw that coming, right?
I don't know. I never let it go away. I just bought one the other night. But yeah, it has made a huge comeback, and it's expensive too. Like, I went to the Archspire show. Oh, by the way, on the way to Austin to see Archspire and Mutilation Barbecue, as I was going under the overpass on Highway 35, there was a group of people up there, Palestine supporters up there, and they had big banners. So I want to give them a quick shout out. On one of their banners, there was a young lady up there holding a banner that said, "Look up Fatwa." And I gave him a honk on the way by, on my way to the Technical Death Metal show. But yeah, vinyl's expensive, man. If you wanted to buy all 4 albums from Archspire at that show, $50 per disc, dude.
Per vinyl.
Yeah, like $200 if you wanted to get their full discography on vinyl, given they were signed copies, and really nice double pressings with gatefolds. But I mean, they're just expensive. It's a function of supply and demand. And I know a couple people that work record labels, and I follow them and talk to some of them here and there, and it's a big deal. Like, getting the vinyl printed is sort of the long pole in the tent to getting a release date, at least in the metal genres, underground metal genres. Like, because there's only so many plants, and they get backlogged. And if they get backlogged with a big release, and you're, Mutilation Barbecue or some underground band, you're on the back burner. No pun intended.
Yeah,
Aren't
Joseph.
these things made out of oil.
Oh,
by the
it'll never
way?
be like the old days. It'll never be like the old days.
Hold on,
But there's
Ruckus.
lots of
What do you think?
legacy. Go
Hold
on.
on, wait a second. Ruckus, you said what? Made of oil?
Yeah,
Petroleum
all of
products?
these things like vinyl and plastic products, which we consider to be fairly affordable and available and cheap. But a specialty product like vinyl, you ain't going to be making vinyl out of recycled plastic bottles. So, the stress of the Strait of Hormuz stuff is going to affect the death metal records. I mean, this is messing up everything, guys. This is not fair to Mutilation Barbecue, is it?
Game over,
not-
What
man.
about hemp?
It's
You
not
make
fair
vinyl
to
records out of
diamond
hemp?
PVC dominatrix cat suits either, Basil. I mean, that's going to hit that
I would
industry,
say.
isn't it? The
Can
dominatrix.
you make vinyl out of hemp?
That's a good question. I think you
They
can
do,
make
they
pretty
do
much.
have a plastic that you can make using hemp. I don't know
Yeah.
much about the process, but it is available. Yeah.
There's an idea. Could be some future in that. Rotoscope. There's another one. Remember the old Hobbit? The
Oh
old
yeah,
rotoscope?
yeah. Yep.
I like those rotoscope. I love rotoscope for telling stories. It's the sci-fi rotoscopes is fantastic.
Yeah, they're great.
It takes a long time though. So you guys, we arrived late to the United Kingdom, and we missed, unfortunately, Katie Hopkins and Lawrence Fox. I was just devastated. I missed their stage show. They're one of the first speakers on, apparently. She's something else. That one is one of these ones that we were tangential with during COVID. She had
Yeah.
a show on TNT. It's
Yep.
like,
I believe I
She
might
did.
have even been on it, if I recall, or she was on mine.
she kept it all
Wow.
under the hood until October 7th happened.
Yep.
And then
yep.
sort of it
Yeah.
all came out at that
Great
point.
media schism of October 7, man. I
Yeah.
really can't. I've tried to make social media posts about that before, just to kind of let people know what that felt like, from the inside. And I really can't even describe it. Like, there's no way I could appropriately, concisely describe the great media schism of
Well,
October
that's
7.
a great title for it. And you remained on air alongside Timothy Shea for months afterwards.
For months, we held
God
it
knows
together,
how that
man.
happened.
What did you think of what I mean, I got some emails. I get corporate emails during that time. Oh, we're a little bit uncomfortable with
Yeah.
To be fair, our employers at Today's News Talk interfered very, very little in what we
It's
talked,
true.
certainly from my
They
point
did.
of view.
They-
And what's more, the revived Today's News Talk, the World News Today, has had Frank Romano on repeatedly, and other Australian representatives of the Palestinian and anti-genocide cause. And I think the powers that be there down under have had a very welcome, epiphany to some extent about what's really going on and who the bad guys are.
I wanted Basil did an epic debate with
Bishop
Roger
Kaidura,
Bishop Kaidura and Roger, what's his name? Roger
Gewald.
and they asked a question. It was such a class. And Ruckus, have you ever seen those viral videos where when the person delivers the line, it goes da 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 da, and it goes into that Snoop Dogg, and then the joint and the sunglasses come.
The sunglasses and the joint.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the joint. Can we do one of those with Basil in this? Because Basil
yeah.
came with the killer line. Did you guys see this debate?
No, I missed it.
They said, well, Basil, what would you do if Benjamin Netanyahu showed up to your door? Was that what they posed some question to you? What would you say to Benjamin now if he showed up on your door? They're trying to like force, put you in a corner basically. And if he came up to your door, knocked on your door, and then what would you say to him about the? Basil said, if he showed up my door, I'd call the freaking police and have him arrested. And that's what you get. Da 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 da. And the joint should come in the sunglasses at that point.
Yep.
I'm going to send you that clip, Ruckus. If you can help us make that happen, that would just be. Basil just absolutely destroyed these guys. That was a brutal debate.
It was. That was about, I think, 6 months into the genocide. I don't know, maybe 9 months.
It was a 2-on-1. They double teamed you. They tried to
That's right.
That was not. It didn't look like a fair fight, but then it sort of like was a massacre by the end of it. You took them out. It was. They had no idea. They were totally underestimated Basil's ability to counterpunch on this issue.
Well, I mean, most people didn't have enough knowledge in their back pocket when October 7 happened. It was a kind of a niche group of people that actually had the context at the time, and Basil is one of them. You know what I mean? So it was like a lot of people were still struggling to build the context to make arguments, even if they felt that what was going on was wrong. Whereas these guys walked into the wrong room with Basil, and one thing I'd like to say about the great media schism of October 7.
Good title. You should write an article, Hesher.
I think I might, yeah. Especially with regards to TNT at the time. Huge shout out to Mike over there, because they didn't editorialize us at all. It's like they left me in a room with Timothy Shea and said, work it out yourselves, guys, and we got mixed results. It was a mixed bag, but I don't think there are many other media outlets out there, that would not have tried to editorialize to a certain extent or come up with a unifying message. And to TNT's great credit, they did not do anything like that, and they had to deal with a lot of angry egos. Whereas we're for us, it was like water off a duck's back. We're not going to run into the boss and going, oh, they said stuff that's wrong and stupid and hurt my feelings. But they had a lot of people running to them and saying that about us,
including other presenters. Who was that New Yorker that was on?
Steve Malzberg.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well done.
Steve Malzberg.
Steve Malzberg. Yeah, but then they also had Misty Winston, didn't they? So
yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Basil, can you just clear up something here? This is God said 1 Lions 743. Was Jimmy Savile a Leeds United supporter?
Well, not that I know of. He lived in Leeds.
He lived, but do we know if he supported? No.
Well, I've never seen him with a Leeds United scarf. I've never seen a clip of him saying he supported Leeds United or anything like that. But opposing fans have a chant which goes, Jimmy Savile, he's one of your own. He's one of your own. He's one of your own. Jimmy Savile, he's one of, which the authorities want to ban. But the Leeds fans simply sing back, Jimmy Savile, he effed your mum. Jimmy Savile. They give as good as they get. But
brutal.
But the football authorities are trying to eliminate all references to Jimmy Savile from the terraces.
Brutal. So yeah, and so they had a funny yesterday. You could appreciate this, Basil. There's an FA Cup match on at Wembley. I forgot who was playing. It was Chelsea and
Manchester City and Chelsea.
Was that the final?
Yes.
Who won?
Manchester City.
1-0. Won. Did you do well on that?
No, I didn't bet on it. No.
Oh, you didn't. You're smart. You don't do sports.
Well, some football.
So Tommy pulled a clever one, and there were a lot more people, I think, at the beginning of the route of his march at Euston Station, I think, and around 12 o'clock. But then there was nobody down at Parliament Square. It was like maybe, I don't know, probably 5 or 10,000 people max. The whole of Whitehall was just pretty disparate.
Well, a lot of them may have got the train up to Wembley to go to the football match.
I think that's what happened. He got them to come before the match, and then they all peeled off to go to into the pub to watch the match and get leery. That's what happened. If not, lost them along the route into pubs.
Well, you said
right?
there was
Watch.
heavy drinking at the
Oh,
Robinson event. You
listen,
know,
I'm telling you, more than heavy. More. I mean,
right.
we're being kind. We're
Well, there
being
are
kind.
hundreds of pubs and bars between Euston and Parliament Square, and doubtless they sort of peeled off
Let me tell
in
you. Let
in
me tell you
groups and
something.
gangs.
I've been to many marches down to Parliament Square and Whitehall. I've spoke at rallies on Whitehall, Trafalgar Square, okay? And we've always managed to find a pub nearby afterwards to either use the toilet or get a quick drink.
Yep.
And they were all shut and boarded up, all of
Oh
them.
wow.
So
Oh wow.
they didn't want their business.
No.
I've never seen that before.
No. Sure.
It's all the
What
Palestinian
about
marches,
on
all
the
the COVID
anti-genocide
marches.
march? Were
Yeah.
there pubs open on the route of the anti-genocide march?
I didn't look, honestly.
Didn't investigate.
I didn't look. They kettled them into Waterloo Place, which is down, as you know, by Pall Mall.
Yeah.
Just to the bottom of St. James, just down there.
And
But
who addressed the anti-genocide rally? Were you there for the speeches at all?
yeah, I think I wasn't there for the entirety, but they had the great podcaster Ahmed Al Nook. He was
Oh yeah.
there. They had the actor Khalid Abdullah, who played Dodi Ofaid in the Netflix.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He was there. Who else? And someone I interviewed on TNT, Hala Hanina. She spoke.
Oh yeah.
She's the Palestinian journalist and from Gaza.
Well, it's great they had some Palestinian voices and not just Western politicians speaking on their behalf.
Yeah, they did. No, they had really good speakers. They also, I saw John McDonald. I think it was McDonald. I think
Yeah,
Corbyn
McDonald
was there.
scheduled to speak. He was scheduled to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw McDonald. I didn't hear him speak. I saw him backstage. They wouldn't let me backstage because my left-wing credentials apparently are not good enough. Because it was a kind of a Stop the War Coalition type,
Yeah.
PSC type thing. But
Well, you
but
can
they were
improve
nice
your
enough.
credentials because there's a big Stop the War conference in London in June,
Right.
and I'm going to go to that, the 20th of June.
You should be speaking at it, but again, you don't have the left wing bona fides required. I think if you're, I don't know, I don't want to make any accusations, but
we'll see.
to that group, like Owen Jones is like alternative to those people.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, I think you're aware now of Crispin Flintoff, who does an excellent program on Sunday mornings via Zoom. And he regularly platforms David Miller, Professor Miller, formerly of University of Bristol, who this morning was talking about the false flag bombing of the Israeli embassy in the 1990s, which was subsequently exposed by Annie Machon and David Shaler as a false flag. Palestinians were arrested. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Yeah.
The point being that to Crispin and others on the left, the whole idea of false flags or even forensically examining major events like 9/11 is a no-no. Everything has to be examined through this Marxist perspective of working class struggle and power and all the rest of it. And anything to do with conspiracy theories, as they regard it, is associated with right-wing paranoia and patriot groups and all the rest of it. So, I mean, it's a huge disconnect there. David was asked to talk about one false flag instance over the last 30 years. I've since reached out to Crispin and said, look, let's talk about 7/7, the London bombings, the tube bombings, which is more recent and more controversial and much more deadly as well. So I don't know if we'll get onto that because, believe it or not, most on the left buy the official narrative, even though, as we know, in the case of 7/7, it's a physical impossibility. But
they do. They're starting to crack, though. I noticed, people like Matt Kennard and Loki, Double Down News. They're starting to reevaluate some of these
Yeah.
things, and they're much more critical in their analysis.
Yes.
Whereas before, you're right. Whereas before, they would take the kind of state mainstream narrative. They'd be against the imperialism, but not they wouldn't be going so far as to be looking into false flags or major
No.
deception and subterfuge. But I think Israel has red pilled people now so
Yes.
badly.
Increasingly, but because of course Robinson uses the false narrative to blame Islam and Islamists for 7/7 and every atrocity that's taken place in the last 30 years. And his audience, I'm sorry to say, are not sophisticated to push back against that and say, hold on a moment, I don't think that the official version of 7/7 is actually what happened at all. Actually, there are bad faith actors pulling the strings from behind the scenes, and the lads from Leeds couldn't possibly have blown those trains up because their own train to London was late. So, do you know what I mean? And you only need to do a very superficial analysis of 7/7 to realize the official story is complete BS. According to the official story, the bomb carried in a small rucksack by Mohammed Siddiq Khan, the so-called ringleader of the bombers, blew 3 separate holes in the floor of an underground train. That's
and the metal was bent upwards, so
that's right,
and the bomb would have been under the train carriage.
That's right, and the bomb, what's more, was made out of black pepper.
And they took the train carriage away and destroyed it immediately, because that's what you do, right? You destroy the crime scene. That's general.
So the whole Robinson movement is built on lies, obviously. Well, initially on the grievance against the but subsequently the intensified demonization of Muslims is based on lies and false flags.
And he supports the Iran war. He supports all the.
Oh, there were Iranian flags there yesterday, weren't there?
Everything the deep state wants, he backs. So is he not a tool of the state? At the end of the day, of course, I think we know the answer to that. Actually,
what do you think? He's always worked for Israel, or do you think they co-opted him once he started gaining some prominence?
No. He's been a side piece since the beginning. That the EDL is a Zionist project. Make no mistake about it. I covered a lot of this in my article for the column Quarterly, the history of how Israel's alliance with the far right in Europe. It was a 20-year program that they wanted to reverse. First, get the anti-Semitism out of the far right and purge it of all of that, and then make it a Zionist right in Europe, and then have that alliance. Orban, as you mentioned before, being one of the great achievements there. Now, I see a comment coming in here, and this is Dawn 1973, and she said, I have watched loads of different auditors showing the streets and did not see one drunk person. I was there. And we might include some of it in our video report this week with UK column. But
I saw lots of people urinating against the side of a building. I mean, about 4 or 5 blokes at the same time, with the caption,
drunk,
"Urinate the kingdom." Get it? Urinate the kingdom.
No, sorry, Dawn. We were there and we have filmed it, and we put some of the evidence up, and we'll put more up. But more than half, everyone was practically off their trolley. Some were buzzing on other things, not alcohol, of course, but there was a lot of Zelensky energy. Let's just put it that way. A lot of Zelensky energy there. And you're literally wading through cans of special brew and cider, much like Notting Hill Carnival. When you're going to Notting Hill Carnival and you're just wading through bottles and cans on the ground,
discarded cans,
it's just everywhere. That's what it was in Parliament Square. So it took them hours to clean it up afterwards. So all of the historical statues of Churchill had a Churchill. They wrapped a Jerusalem cross flag around his right arm, and then there was just garbage everywhere. And you know what the weirdest thing about this was? The porta toilets that they bring for these events, they put banks of porta toilets around the cenotaph. the leaves are the wreaths of the fallen soldiers of World War II and the women of World War II. They're surrounded by portaloos, like a couple of dozen like big banks of toilets, and there's just people queuing up in the porta toilets in the middle of Whitehall, opposite Downing Street, in the middle of the road, surrounded so the war memorials were surrounded by toilets. I found that to be a little disrespectful. I mean, why not put it on the side street? Why not put it off to the, why does it have to be next to the war memorial with the literally the wreaths are out on the ground, and they had the Harris fencing around that and just flanked by porta toilets on both sides. That was just bizarre, Basil. We've got footage of it, but whose decision was that? That was just kind of disrespectful. I mean, listen, half the people
Well,
were
I
off the
suppose it was
trolley.
killing two birds with one stone, protecting the cenotaph and providing public lavatories at the same time. So
Could be,
you know.
could be. But so Dawn, I have to tell you, you're sadly mistaken. Unfortunately, it was bad. It was bad. It was some of the people they had on stage. They had this American country singer come in, this guy, and he's just like,
Yeah, I saw that.
it's
And
cringeworthy.
another singing preacher from the Christian right who just seemed to be sort of screaming into the microphone and exhorting the crowd to respond, and it was just a dreadful noise. There was no sort of
Kai Dewar, the bishop, or what is it? He's the cardinal. What is he? He was
self-appointed bishop. Yes,
he dressed in cardinal red, the cardinal magenta pink, and it was like he was up. I thought it was Oliver Reed in Devils, the Eric Jarman film. It was insane. I thought that
he's a carnival act, basically.
He's like, "Where the nation, Jesus," and it was like makes John Hagee look like very tame.
Oh no!
In comparison, I'm like, I was like saying to my colleague, I said, that guy Basil tore him up in a debate. That guy, the guy on stage, roasted by Valentine.
I've seen reports that it's American Christian Zionists paid for those crosses that people were carrying. And,
embarrassing.
Funded the whole thing. I don't know, but there's certainly a concerted attempt to sort of build a Christian Zionist movement in the UK.
Listen,
none existing organically.
I got to check my footage, but the classic image was people queuing up for the porta toilets next to the cenotaph and all taking their crosses and putting them in a big pile next to the porta toilets. Just like, this is just poetic.
It's Monty Python stuff, isn't it? Really, it sounds like a Monty Python sketch,
But they're all half cut and off their heads, and they probably didn't. They're not even taking. So we're seeing it through sober eyes, going into that sort of environment, and just seeing some crazy stuff. I mean, it was mad. It was a very crazy, weird energy, very dark, quite low vibration. And very alcohol, and it seemed like drug fueled as well. But again, I can speak about the alcohol. I saw a lot of that. I don't know about the drugs, but Tommy's literally bouncing off the walls on stage.
Again, I'd say I've got to repeat it. I feel very sorry for a lot of the white working class who've been led down a blind alley by this jerk. Do you know what I mean? And by morons like Kai Dewar, and
they had another guy that was
disappointed because they've got genuine grievances, but they're represented by the worst of us.
They did a live revival on stage where they had one of these priests, but he was dressed in a Union Jack suit, a bit like Pete Hegseth on acid, the full, and he was doing a big mass blessing, and it was the footage of this. There's more footage around on online, but I was just looking around and seeing all these Israeli flags flying, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? This is insane. As I say,
the so-called liberal Zionists are furious at the fact that the Israeli flags are there, because it's not a good look for the Guardian readers that the Israelis want to keep on side. You know what I mean? That's a terrible look to be associated with that rabble rouser.
Yeah, and it's not really Christian. They're invoking the Christian themes, but there's no sincerity at all, and it's very
No.
aggressive and
Yeah.
very sort of calling
Yeah.
for war. They like, what, kick out the immigrants, and then what, after that, charge on Jerusalem, I guess. It's, who knows, but that's the sort of themes that they're invoking.
Yeah,
Half of it,
the
like I said, is not
Christianity has
serious, but
sort of recently been bolted on to this so-called movement as a sort of a fake emblem of identification, and so that they've got a, if anything, it gives them some kind of theoretically unifying message. But as you say, it's totally fake. It's, Christianity is about love and compassion and forgiveness, and all things that they and the Zionists, of course, explicitly reject.
And the other thing is,
The Christians, the churches will have to separate themselves from this. This is the stuff that we hear about nonstop, consistently in the media, is all the bad things happening, all the extreme things happening, and it's always somehow sideways associated with the word Christian or with God. At some point, if you are a Christian or you believe in God, you're going to have to stand up and say, yo, that does not represent me. That does not represent my God. I mean, where's the tipping point? I'm waiting for that shoe to drop.
Sure.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a bad look for Christianity, I can tell you.
Yeah.
The weird thing was that then he stopped for an ad break, and you 8 video screens up Whitehall plus the big one on Parliament Square, and it's this dude lifting in a gym for some supplement or something, and everyone he's saying Christianity is all about this. Early Christianity was based on strength. They're warriors. That's why you need to use this product or whatever. And I looked at my colleague and I'm like, this isn't happening. This is like a Black Mirror episode, like a full packed crowd, all dressed in chainmail. We had like the Knights of Arthur. They were there as well, like wearing the St. George. I mean, it was full on.
Again, it's the same fake Templarism as Pete Hegseth.
Templar war Templar flags.
LARPers
with the black and white.
Crusaders.
Live action role playing Templar wannabe idiots.
All that.
Yeah.
This is great. It's insane, man. Yeah, here we go. Katie Humps is Tommy Rumps, military intelligence handler. Wow. That's quite a...
I like that. Have you got any more on that, Rupert, please? In which case...
Rupert Fellows, give us more info on this, please.
You got a Substack we can follow, dude? I want more.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's interesting. You piqued our interest there for sure.
Wow, really, Basil? What is that comment in reference to? It certainly is. It certainly is.
Yeah, I don't know, guys, but it's definitely a big bolt-on now. It's more than a bolt-on, Basil. It's the central feature now. So it's Christian nationalism. That's the dominant core of it all now, I noticed. But again, it's identify as Christian. It's an identification. They're not really practicing Christians. The Church of England churches are desolate, empty. Half of them are being sold and turned into mosques. That's how the church is raising money now, selling off its churches.
Yeah, it's like they searched the cupboard for an emblem, for an identity, and sort of stumbled upon Christianity, really, because none of the others were available. So it's sort of like, what have we got? We've got the flag, we got the Union Jack, we got the Cross of St. George, and then okay, let's go for Christianity, and we'll build our brand behind that.
Yep. Okay. Well, I didn't stay long enough to see everything, but Elon Musk might have sent a video message saying that you got to get ready for violence because violence is coming to you. That's what he'd say to like a large crowd. He said that the last rally. I don't know if he piped anything in this time.
There were pro-Trump banners, weren't there? And Iranian monarchy supporters.
Loads of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Bomb my country, save the people. Yeah. Yeah. But surely, I mean, if we can pivot, surely that's coming to an end. I mean, I've seen what's coming out of Trump's trip to China is no more war, and European leaders are saying the same thing. They're doing bilateral deals with Iran. Loads of countries are to allow their shipping through, and it's completely impolitic for Trump to restart the war, because the increase in gas prices has yet to feed through to the pumps in the United States. So there's inflation in the pipeline, quite apart from what's already happened. And if the straits remain closed or the war resumes in earnest, then there's going to be an even bigger inflationary pipeline, inflationary bubble in the pipeline. I mean, stagflation is where you're headed, which is, of course, inflation, but with a shrinking production base.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys, I don't know if you had any, or Basil or anybody, state of Trump, the China thing, overall impressions afterwards.
More wasting our time, more wasting our money, more bullcrap. I mean, if you're gonna go there for some sort of reason. But that's, what reason does our government do anything here in the United States anymore? Like, someone please pray tell, what reason is it that we need 300 data centers here in Texas? What reason is it we need
Wow.
8 of them in our town, our small town of 70 to 100,000 people? We're gonna have 8 of these things here. Like,
Wow.
asking why this government is doing anything at this point is almost a fool's errand, unless the answer is because Israel and the tech billionaires and the Intel class want them to.
Demand it. Yeah. The Epstein class. Yeah. Exactly.
Sad, but
yeah. Well, the
we're gonna argue
mood
with-
music that I've picked up is that Trump looked weak. His body language was weak. He was hunched. I've seen him referred to as a hunchback now. He was generally submissive towards Xi and came out with sort of weird, demented, senile comments about, have you taken other world leaders to this garden, and aren't these trees beautiful? As if he was, geriatric being visited by his, far more mentally able family member or something. He praised Xi, how much he liked him, how much he liked the Chinese and everything. I mean, you've got to say, at least what came out of it was ultimately friendly and not, heading towards World War III. In a way, if it wasn't for the Iran war, you would have said, well, at least Trump isn't saber rattling at China. He might be demented and all the rest, and looks physically very much in decline, but at least he's not spoiling for a fight with the Chinese. Didn't achieve anything either, but at least it's sort of all the usual talk about economic relations and rather than let's go to war. But they didn't want to talk about Taiwan, obviously.
No, that was
he
verboten.
certainly didn't. That was verboten, and he certainly didn't get anywhere with advancing any war agenda. So, what do you think?
He said that China's going to buy oil from the Chinese. Basically kiboshed that afterwards. No agreements on any of that stuff. People always complain we don't provide any solutions. Well, here we go. Martin Mayer, 1965. He's got solutions. Patrick, get 10% discount gas in South Carolina for every purchase. Lindsey Graham's newspaper, The Daily Closet. And you say we don't provide solutions? Well, what do you call that? Looks like a solution to me, guys.
Yeah, I like that.
Definitely.
Martin.
I could use 10% off on gas. It's like $5 a gallon here in Texas for 93 right now.
Right.
That's good.
And what was it on January the 1st this year?
Oh gosh, it was like maybe 3 something, and the
Right.
87 gas was like $2.89 maybe.
But that's a lower octane fuel, is it?
Yeah, which is probably up to $4.20 right now, something like that.
Right.
You guys are cheaper in
So
Texas than the
50%,
rest of the country
near enough
normally, right?
50% increase.
Yeah, totally. A 50% increase. So, right, Patrick. So people in California, New York, states like that, like, I don't even want to know what you guys are paying. I feel bad for you. It's probably $8 a gallon for 93.
I want to know what Air Force One paid when they fueled up before they took the Entourage to China.
Oh yeah, what's it cost to fly the Entourage?
Were they all on the same flight, by the way? Am I correct? They all hopped out. Okay. Isn't that a little unusual? Correct me if I'm wrong, to have that many people, bigwigs in the administration, plus all those tech billionaires that are all, I mean, seriously, I mean, these are some of the most powerful people who are effing us in the behind, all in one place. Either they were just really tempting the fate of God there, or, I mean, did this even happen? I mean, were they all there? Is this even real? I mean, is it usual for that many people to conglomerate like that and make such an easy target, as it were, militarily
Yes,
speaking? I mean,
it
just
was real, Ruckus.
like,
Okay.
wild. All right.
Gonna have to grab you through the screen and shake you. It
I
was
condone
real.
AI produced content and
It's
all
like
that.
Airplane. They're real. They're real. Leslie Nielsen.
They can put that many stupid oligarchs on one jet because it's flanked by probably 7 F-35s. Like, they probably feel really cool flying on that jet because they've got fighter jets following them and AWACS and all kinds of stuff.
I think what you mean, Ruckus, is isn't it risky to put them all on so many giant galactic size egos on one plane that the plane could actually explode in midair?
There's always that.
That's a lot of hot air in one tube.
Yeah, Elon Musk and Donald Trump. That's bad enough right there. And then throw in Keg's breath.
How come they had such a huge rapprochement after Musk left the government a few months ago? I mean, it was daggers drawn, wasn't it? They were slagging each other off online
because Musk wanted the clout. He wanted his clout back, and so he got on his hands and knees and groveled and realized that actually government is the biggest mafia. It's bigger than the corporate mafia. They can make
From what
life
I saw, the
difficult for
people
you.
were happier to see Musk than they were to see Trump. If I'm not mistaken.
Very strange, but true. Strange. I mean,
yeah,
Musk
if he wasn't born in South Africa, I think he'd be running for president.
Yeah, you say that it's a good idea, but you know, people thought Vivek Ramaswamy would make a great president as well.
We know that Elon's not beneath groveling too, because we've all seen the email of him groveling to Jeffrey, you know, asking him to come to the island. So we know how he gets when he really wants to, you know, be included.
Yeah, he's a bit of an autist, if you noticed, and he is socially very awkward.
A little bit.
He's probably good at tech things, but
how can we get our hands on some of his $1 trillion? More to the point, you know.
Definitely don't buy Tesla stock because that's about to tank.
Right.
But maybe short Tesla.
Basil, I hate to say it, but you have to offer to birth his child, my friend. That's how you get Elon's money.
Well, he's such a big advocate for freedom of speech. You know, why doesn't he fund an online news channel like this or one of the other ones we've worked for?
What is a male pheromone? Isn't Musk a male pheromone? What does that mean?
Well, it's the hormone scent that attracts members of the opposite sex.
Oh, Musk, of course.
Yeah,
Musk. Yeah. He has a very strange pickup line, which we spoke about previously, but where he would approach these women like Silicon Valley, you know, the Jeff Bezos wife types, you know, these sort of free electrons floating around wanting to bond with a tech billionaire. And he would say things like, do you want to have my child? We can do IVF. I'll give my sperm to the clinic and, you know, basically, do you want the honor of having a child with me, the richest man in the world, but doing it through IVF in the clinic, which I found to be very strange. A lot of these baby mamas are IVFs.
Really? I would have thought he used that line, and then they would say, "Oh no, let's not do the IVF. Let's do it naturally." And so, you know, I thought that was
well, you would think that, wouldn't you, Basil? Because you're a normal heterosexual male, but you're not a deviant tech billionaire. Like, so this raises some fundamental questions. Is he gay? That's one option. And if you're that rich, you could probably conceal that. So there's his alpha male sort of credentials at risk. Or he can't, for whatever reason, do the thing. And that's another thing. Or he's just weird. He's like Howard Hughes weird. You know, he's just like the boys from Brazil. You know,
it's actually weirder though to run around and be like, Hey, baby, have you heard great word about IVF? I mean, do you want to sign these NDAs and all these legal contracts? That is weird. That is
Yeah, I
NDAs,
think they
yes,
just see the dollar bills,
yeah,
really
and they
I
sign.
think the women
weird.
they just see the dollar bills. You're made for life. So's the kid. End of story.
Yep.
Elon's
Yeah.
attracted to anime and robots. Come on.
Is Elon's rocket limp? It's exactly. It's legit. All legit questions. So legit questions like what is going on? Doesn't he like the milk? Says Daniel Bausch here. He has a trans kid. He does have a trans kid.
At least
So
one.
this is Mr. Right Wing, Mr. Anti Woke, and his kid's trans. Not a
What
very
if
good
he's
parent.
What if he's hiding what's going on down there? What if it's something really extreme? What if he's like hermaphroditic or something that he does not want the world to know about?
Well,
Or
yeah,
botched operation.
Could be an android, smooth as a Ken doll.
Something like that. Yeah. Oh, here we
sorry to
go.
take- Go on.
Laura Loomer, hold on. Kim Jong Billy with the Laura Loomer. Very
Wow.
disturbing
Strong
PFP.
jaw.
There are rumors that
Wow.
Elon received early, quote, enhancement procedures on his, quote, stuff, and it was botched, which left him disfigured.
Wow.
Oof. Imagine being the rich man in the world and
Nasty.
having that as a problem.
Yeah, not nice.
That
Not
might
good at
motivate you
all.
to make Atlas robots and cool bombs and stuff. All these phallic looking rockets.
Good God.
Yep. A white South African and Irishmen are going around to USA and European countries to tell white people in those countries they are oppressed by non-whites. I know it's a bit strange. It's a bit weird on its face. I know. But that's what's happening.
Yep. It's enough to make
Throwing
your
the
eyeballs
money
go
around.
wide.
Does Peter Thiel give you the creeps, anybody? Is he a
Well, of
normal looking
course.
guy?
Definitively yes.
Is he a strange looking man? And he's, again, one of the richest men in the world, and he's running our technocracy, front running all this stuff for this great reset that's supposedly happening. Do you find that to be problematic, anybody?
Yeah, his software going to be plugged into the thousands of data centers that are going to be sucking up all the water and power in your town as your energy bills go up and your water bills go up and drought happens. Yeah, that's an issue.
Why do we still keep associating Palantir with Peter Thiel, even though he was fundamental to the? I mean, Alex Karp is the face of Palantir, and it
Because
just
they're like
it's
Velcroed
very
together, I
convenient.
think.
But it's very convenient that it always seems to be people will always associate it more with Peter Thiel than Alex Karp, and I don't know if that's intentional or not. I'm curious.
I mean, I don't know if it makes a difference. Like, if you have a critical viewpoint on one of those characters, you probably have an equally critical viewpoint on the other, but there is something to it, and we see this with Bill Gates too. Bill Gates, we still think about him as the Microsoft guy, but really he's the, Gavi guy, the government guy, the WHO guy,
He's a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. Non-doctor, doctor.
Bill
Dr.
Gates
Pye.
is kind of normal compared to Thiel. I mean, with
I know.
he's got the fascist haircut and the ears and
Yeah.
that face that looks like it's like that
And-
character actor from Hollywood has the nose out of joint. I
And
forgot
he
that guy's name.
he threatens to destroy you, threatens to ruin your business, threatens to destroy your family. You know what I mean? Like, Karp will go on camera and in front of audiences and say, "Hey, if you're not at least going along to get along, our systems will come after you. Our systems will expose you. We will expose your aunt, your uncle. We will ruin your life, and we will level your town." Depending on where you live and what
Yeah.
level of threat they think you are. So
It was
That's right.
literally, we're doing it. We're doing it.
So to
We're do-
Ruckus's point, is it like a good cop, bad cop thing? Like Peter Thiel's now the like cool guy, like, he's in the Larry Ellison, Elon Musk class, but his lackey, his little protege, Karp here, is the bad cop. You know what I mean? But it's just, I don't know.
CEO of Palantir in the UK is Oswald Mosley's grandson. That's true.
That's right.
Basil, that was my takeaway
Very
from
much.
the event. What you probably saw on X, that I described the Tommy Robinson rally as Mosley in Magaluf.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that one.
Paints a vivid picture, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Yep. Super sticker. Thank you very much, Cynthia. Much appreciated. I'm looking for any of those super chats. If I missed,
We had
any.
one earlier in the show, Patrick. I didn't put it up, but there was one earlier for $10. So thank you to that person.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. So I wish there was a way you could see them all like that were posted, but I can't find out how to do that on StreamYard. I literally have to scroll through every comment.
It leaves a little icon at the top for a few minutes that you can click, but then it kind of expires.
It just disappears. Yeah. So this must
You
have
can
been.
get them to appear on screen as well, possibly even with a nice little jingle. Some of the football podcasters and streamers, he goes super chat, and both the comment and the name of the super chat person appear automatically on screen. So I don't know if you have to work that through YouTube or what.
Here's a Ruckus fan here, clearly because of the PFP. You can see Sticky Marks 1919, $5 super chat. Thank you, Sticky. Just learned it's Mario Nafal. I thought his name was Marion. I love Hesher, Ruckus. God bless all humans. Thank you. That's a very nice message. We like those messages. Yeah. Thanks very much, Sticky. We love it. Oh, I think I found it. Here we go. Again, that's Sticky. That's a double whammy today. Super chat and a super sticker. Thank you very much, Sticky Marks. Basically here he's saying, they say that those who God seeks to destroy, he makes crazy. First makes crazy. Are we there yet? Love and peace from my Republic of Yorkshire. Thank you very much. That's from above the red wall up north, Basil, in Yorkshire.
Yep.
This is
God's
thank you very
country
much,
up there. There's no doubt. Although they say when God was creating paradise here in Albion, Yorkshire was his first effort, but he did a better job with Sussex.
Well, I think people in Devon would have something to say about that, but Sussex is very nice.
Something about say to that as well. Yeah, exactly.
It's very nice, and the
this
Lakes
government
District
want to build rabbit hutch houses all over the green fields of England. Unfortunately, it's just one of the abysmal aspects of this government, but it's on the way out. Will Starmer last another week, Patrick? Do you think?
I don't know, and I don't know if it'll make a difference if he's ousted. But to me, it's dangerous when the leader's out and there's an interregnum, and then all the bad policies just basically come flooding in, and the war kicks off, and security state's in charge. Then you got Graham Healy running the country by default. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
John Healy.
a little bit dangerous. A little bit dangerous here.
It's a unique situation because, Starmer is still prime minister. He hasn't said he's resigning, but the National Executive Committee and Starmer himself have said they're not going to stand in the way of Andy Burnham contesting the Makerfield by-election, although they did stand in his way the Gorton and Denton by-election, which the Greens won. Now, Burnham's only coming into Parliament for one reason and one reason only, and that's to run for the leadership. Wes Streeting resigned, I'm pleased to say, because he's absolutely dreadful at it, he resigned from being the health minister last week, but didn't announce he was running immediately, but did say he would run as and when there's a leadership contest. So there's this really bizarre sort of stalemate at the moment where Starmer is still leader but increasingly in name only. We don't know whether he would run again if challenged by Streeting and Burnham and possibly others. He could even win that. And all that's assuming that Starmer wins, that Burnham wins the by-election, which is far from certain. And if I don't know if you saw Josh Simons, the guy who's standing aside, is this Labour Together apparatchik that paid to dig up the dirt on the people that were exposing, the journalists exposing Starmer as a fraud. he may be setting up Burnham to fail, deliberately, so that. Go on.
New management, same as the old management. No policy changes whatsoever between those two. That's for sure.
Burnham said yesterday that he wants to renationalize water, which would be great to see, and possibly other utilities. He's going to embark on a program of renationalization. But
so he's grafting, cribbing Corbyn talking points.
That's right.
In order to win over the some of the left that they lost with the Green Party, but they have no intention of doing any of that. We know it's. No, they know what you'll get is a double your water bill. That's what you'll get. That's what you always expect. It's opposite land with these people. Alyssa Prendergrass 10 super sticker. Thank you very much, Elise. Very much appreciated. Good long-time listener there. Here comes Sticky Marks. Absolutely flooding the zone. Look at this. Another 2-pound super sticker. Basil was late, so I love Basil too. Gosh,
great. Thank you, Sticky. I wondered why I didn't get any love on that previous one. So now
lots of love.
My ego.
Wait, hold on. What's Ruckus have there? How did you do that?
Well, Ruckus uses a little different software than you do, so Ruckus can do stuff like this. But yeah, I popped up for you. This is exclusively all the paid-for fan support, super stickers, super chats right there for you as you're reading them, okay?
Right. You have to help me. You have to help me.
You're going to have to sort that out, Patrick. You're going to have to get that extension.
Yeah, I definitely do. Thank you very much, Ruckus, for your assistance there, technical assistance. Much
I had
appreciated.
Help from a friend.
Oh, there she is, that casino lady. That's the casino lady, isn't it? From Macau. What's her name? She owns all the fruit machines. Miriam Adelson.
Miriam something. Yeah, she's got some money, or her husband did, or something.
She's all about the love.
Yeah, that's right. And so are our fans. So thanks for all the love, fans.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers, you guys. Patrick, why did I have to go through hell to find the Sunday Wire? Well, that's a good question, Judy. We often get asked that. That you're talking about the hell, the purgatory of mediocre podcasts and posers and political hacks and paid operatives. You're talking about all those? You had to wade through that swamp of content?
Or is it the quagmire of algorithms that are not putting Sunday Wire in your feed? Maybe it's that.
Yeah, that's your guess is as good as mine, but I think it probably somewhere along those lines. But the point is, you found us. That's the main thing. You're here. You're safe, and you really don't have to go anywhere at this point. Your Sundays are booked. This is where the knowledge is.
And now is when you hit the like button and the subscribe and the notify button in hopes that our shadow banning allows those notifications to come to you. That's something we would really appreciate if you do that on Rumble, on X, and YouTube. And if you're on BitChute, that helps too. Like having those subscriptions. I know notifications are annoying and we're all slammed by them because I leave my phone just completely. I mean, there's only a couple hours during the day when my phone is not allowing the torrent of garbage to come at me, but I do put notifications on for shows like this that I know the algorithm is not going to give me. So that might help you, and it definitely helps us. So we'd appreciate it.
No, thank you very much. And I have to read this last one. Martin Maher is like, I actually had this conversation with an Irish nationalist who was at the Tommy Robinson rally. Actually said, Patrick, the solution to the current British government, MBCA, make Britain Celtic again. Deport all the Anglo-Saxon German migrants, as well as the Vikings and all the noblery from France, with Fitz, whatever, Fitz this, Fitz that, right? Basil, what do you think? Because these are Celtic lands, aren't they, really?
Yeah, I mean, except, Celts intermarried with Anglo-Saxons and
Romans.
Britons and, on all sorts. I had my sister had a DNA analysis recently, and I saw where all mine comes from. And over half is from southeast England and northern France. Believe it or not, about 17% of me is Irish. Other
That
bits
much.
are that much. Otherwise, I'm also from the southwest of England, from northern England, predictably, and a smidgen from Germany. That must be the Saxon.
You were gonna say something else there for a minute. You had us on the edge of your seat, Basil. That little bit of a smidgen of Ashkenazi or something like that. He said, that's where the intelligence must come from, right? That's where the literary skills, spatial relationship, pattern recognition.
All northwestern Europe, all this corner.
Well,
So,
that's good. Well, it's good to
I
know
was
you've got
indigenous to
17% Irish. That's impressive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Munster.
You can hang out with us. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
17% Irish. Basil Valentine. To get a T-shirt that says I'm 17% Irish.
Yeah, I might do that. Believe it or not, I might
Could
do
really
that.
do wonders for your social life.
I'm gonna see if I can get the chart up here.
I'm scared to look at mine. I've not done that. I'm terrified what it might show me. Could be a dark horse in there. 1% Musk.
Patrick, this is so scary. Think about this 20 years from now when people get their DNA analysis. If Elon Musk, we know of what, 14 children of his or something like that. Those are the ones we know about. If he has a mindset like Jeffrey Epstein did, he wants thousands of babies. And in a few years, that what Boba 2783 just put up might actually come up in someone's 23andMe. You are 1% Musk.
Holy, yeah, absolutely. Give it 10 years. No, 20 years. We need second generation, but yeah, just test tube madness there. That's his Mars plan, you guys. We all know that, don't we? That's his Mars plan.
And since Elon owns the X platform, I sure hope he's not interested in that whole blackmail business thing, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he's not interested in any of that. No technical.
He might have a little dirt on a few of the users out there, just saying.
No self-respecting technocrat would be into that. Of course not. Erica, thank you very much. 10-pound super chat from Erica Cocaine 2829, a loyal listener. Thank you very much for your contributions, Erica. And listen, we're probably going to wrap it up. There's a lot we could say about Basil's 17% Irish DNA. Is where you get your horse race betting skills.
Yeah.
Look at that.
We certainly need further honing.
That's where it comes from. So this 17% Coolmore.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Tipperary. It must be Tipperary, the Tipperary end of the Emerald Isle.
Actually, it's 16%, 11% from Leinster and 5% from Munster. Or with another 3% from Central Scotland and Northern Ireland.
Central Scotland, Northern Ireland was a
Yeah.
bit of Braveheart there. Yeah. Yep, you got that.
2% from Cornwall.
Oof.
7% from Devon and Somerset. 6% from the northeast of England. I'm sorry, I don't want to bore everyone with this. 52% from southeast England and northwestern Europe, and 3% from Germany. So there you go.
So you're pretty much proper British there. You know,
it's as good as you're going to get, mate. It's certainly a lot more British than the King.
Exactly. You've got your German representation. That's your royal blood.
I'm a lot more British than Germany. The King, you know.
That's right. So, yeah. So Basil is, you should be running Unite the Kingdom rallies, Basil. I think you'd be much better representative than that little Zelensky character.
Yeah, well.
With the Hackett shirt.
Real quick to ask you guys, because it's made the rounds on this side of the pond. What about the King and his proclivity for, hey, we're doing digital ID? How are people taking that?
Yeah, that went down like a real anvil. He didn't seem too comfortable announcing
he
that.
He looked very uncomfortable saying it, you know. My government will also push it, you know. Rumor is he wanted to do the whole opening of Parliament by Zoom, but that wasn't. That's a joke, but that wasn't possible. But it is an extraordinary anachronism that he turns up in the full robes with the crown jewels on his head, the ermine, and these days, of course, with the Queen next to him, it's like something out of a child's picture book. A lot of people think it's very impressive. Others are appalled, but there we are. Rides from Buckingham Palace to Westminster in an 18th century gilded carriage with, complete with footmen and outriders and the whole 9 yards. I mean, the pomp and ceremony is off the charts.
100% cuddly Basil there. You've got fans. Basil has an appreciation society. They are legion. There we go. And 70%.
Well, speaking of which, neither Patrick nor I mean, I might be wrong. I don't think any of the four of us have any children, do we? No. So, maybe we should take a leaf out of Elon's book if we want to continue our wonderful genetic lines. For heaven's sake, gentlemen, time is running out. The referee's looking at his watch.
Get busy. 17% of the time, Basil craves a Guinness for no reason. Interesting. Is this true?
No, I don't. I can't stand the stuff, to be honest. There's not enough other alcohols I like.
Are you really 17% Irish?
Yeah.
Well, the test says you are, but you don't like Guinness. It's an acquired taste.
You may have just forsaken your 17%, Basil.
We'll start you on Murphy's and we'll work you towards Guinness. Don't worry. Or probably Kilkenny. We'll start you on Kilkenny and then Murphy's, then Guinness. Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, Boba 2783 says CIA raid on Tulsi Gabbard, ?
Didn't happen.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Did it happen?
No, it didn't. Anna Paulina Luna, a.k.a. Anna Meyerhofer, that's her real name. She put that out. Jesse Waters ran with it and said that apparently the office director of national intelligence spokesperson said there was no raid, and then Jesse Waters deleted his tweet. Now, for a Fox News anchor to start deleting tweets, that's serious. So
why not just update it? Why not take credit for it and update it and say, I'm sorry, I believe crazy Paulina Luna.
And then so Paulina was panicking and she issued these things. I never said it was a raid. But you sure didn't push back on it when he introduced you about the raid.
The story was that it was that a load of Epstein and UFO files that were about to be declassified.
I heard MK Ultra.
MK Ultra, okay. And Epstein and UFO, all three, or just MK Ultra?
I heard JFK too, so
I heard just MK Ultra from where I was seeing it. It was all over the place.
Right, and they were whisked away by the CIA to be destroyed or something, or certainly not to come into the public domain. I mean,
I think they were rushing them to Joe Biden's garage or something.
Yeah. The trunk of the Corvette was empty. I figured put the MK Ultra files in there. Aren't there? Am I mistaken? It seems to me the MK Ultra files, there were only a couple boxes of them, maybe just one. Most of it was already destroyed. So I won't even bother asking, are these supposedly the ones that we haven't seen yet? Because probably not. I mean, it sounds just like Luna just doing what Luna does, which is be an insane person and try to, get as much airtime as possible.
Listen, after I saw the UFO file dump by Hegseth, I thought there can't be anything in there, honestly, seriously. Like how's that going to materially change your life to know more about MK Ultra?
Yeah, what are they going to stop MK Ultraing us if we learn about it? I'm sorry, I've known about it for a long time. They're still trying to MK Ultra me.
No, because normies need to be red pilled, Hesher. So we need to release the files so the normies can be red pilled properly, right?
How's that working out for us? I mean, this has been going on since 2015, and it seems like the whole red pill thing is just another broken metaphor now.
Here you go, Basil. Another one here. If you were truly German, Basil, you would drink your Guinness warm. The Germans have some strange drinks in their arsenal. If you know, there's one called the Spezi, where the Germans mix orange juice and Coca-Cola. I find that to be very strange, personally. The Spezi. So Europeans have some funny quirks. I'm telling you. You get surprised when you travel around. You see some very strange things. Germans especially. Got some strange habits, don't they? I mean, the Italians Italians are pretty. I mean, they set the standard, don't they, for food and drink, right?
Yeah, they don't set the standard for football anymore. They haven't made it to the World Cup. And it looks like they're not going to be the only ones, because everything I've seen is indicating that this World Cup is going to be a commercial disaster for the United States. The stadiums are only going to be half full. The hotels even less booked out than that. And, what's usually a great big festival, the world's biggest sports tournament, is heading for a damp squib because people don't want to visit Trump's America.
I'd boycott America for the World Cup. I mean, they tossed the Iranians out, didn't they?
No, they're still in. Yeah,
they are.
Yeah. It's not up. It's not up to Trump or anyone to. I mean, FIFA do try and adhere to the fact that what happens on the pitch is sacrosanct, and so if you qualify on the pitch, therefore you qualify for the tournament. I mean, if they don't manage to maintain that protocol, then there's no point them being there, But that doesn't stop them banning Russia, of course.
Here we go. Canadians mix beer and tomato juice. Is that what you'd call a bloody beer? Do they? That's really.
That's really.
Now that would be next level, even worse than the Germans.
Awful to me.
Yeah. Canadians, another strange race.
Did you watch Eurovision last night, Patrick?
It's not on my list of activities, but I did. Funny you should say that. As we're coming back from the protest on the way to the Tube, we did pass through Soho. And of course, Eurovision, it's a big event in Soho for rainbow flag reasons. So we thought but we couldn't really pop into a pub in Soho to watch Eurovision. That would have been probably verboten.
Schedule out, yeah.
Yeah, that would not have probably been a good idea. So we just waited to see what the announcements was, and apparently Bulgaria won, and Israel nearly rigged the vote again, and they got a close second. But a lot of countries,
very distant second, but they were quite some way behind Bulgaria, but top of the pack. Yeah.
Who boycotted? Did anybody boycott?
I mean, they sort of systematically try and stack the votes. Yeah, Slovenia, Spain, Iceland, and Ireland all boycotted it, and the Irish national broadcaster RTE was due to show an episode of Father Ted instead. I don't know if they went ahead with that, because one of the writers of Father Ted, Graham Linehan, has recently come out as an ardent fan of genocide, as a real Israel supporter. I'm going to have to put that in quotes. I don't want him to sue me, but
he's probably a follower of Bishop Kai Deward.
He's certainly, so he wanted RTE to take down not to show Father Ted in place of the Eurovision Song Contest, because he was opposed to Ireland's boycott, very, very strongly opposed to Ireland's boycott, And of course, Ireland are due to play Israel in a football match in Ireland coming up soon, and there's a big campaign for that to be cancelled. So there's a few sort of boiling points here,
Canadians are just Americans with bad haircuts. I don't know. I know some absolutely kick-ass Canadians, so I can't say anything bad about Canada. And there's probably a lot less lunatics in Canada than there are in America, to be quite frank. So they are kind of winning, the Canadians.
Yes,
I mean,
colder but slightly saner.
The based Canadians are still out there and with us, though. The band I saw the other night was from Vancouver, and before one of their songs, their singer Ollie said, "Yo, we're from Canada. It's one of the most commie countries in the world, but hey, we're here to have some fun." You know what I mean? It's like they have a sense of humor about it. They get it. They understand.
Yeah, they have some of the British qualities of self
deprecation.
self-deprecation and
Yeah.
ability to, yeah, they have those skills and a lot of Irish skills as well. This is part of the Canadian makeup is Irish, Scottish, British.
Was that Archspire, Hesher, or was that the Mutilation Barbecue?
Yeah, shout out to Archspire from Vancouver, fastest band on the planet.
Yeah.
Were they at your death metal show, Hesher?
Yes, indeed, sir. That was my Friday night. That's why we didn't do Boiler Room this weekend. So I apologize to the Boiler Room audience, but that was a priority.
That's right. Exactly. I mean, many Americans have often fled to Canada, although Kevin O'Leary is really annoying me at the moment.
Yeah.
He's not giving Canadians a good name, and I don't think he represents Canadians. He's something else. No, he definitely is not your typical. He wants to build that data center in Utah, and he's just like almost demonic in his enthusiasm for this project. That to me is like everything wrong with the world and humanity is represented in this project. Uses up more energy than the entire state of Utah. Hello, folks.
Wow.
What's that all about? What 40,000 acres?
It's
40,000
10
acres
miles.
of data farms.
It's like 60 something square miles, right? That's just 10 square miles shy of the size of our entire town where me and Hesher are. It's like, so if this thing could be any bigger, it'd be like the size of where we live. It's insanely huge.
And you don't think
Why
it's
is
not
so
going to
much
expand?
space- Why is so much space needed? Forgive my ignorance, and why is so much water needed?
And the robots will do a good job keeping it clean and maintaining everything. So it's going to be great for jobs.
I wonder too, with so many people now using voice activated commands on their searches and AI, which often mishear what you've said, such that you immediately get some hilarious, mishearing by the AI, and it's not even what you want. So you have to backspace and write out what you want, so I wonder how much of the data center capacity is simply going to be servicing misheard commands, pure waste. That's not what I said. Correct,
For the most part,
it's done the process. By that time,
slop.
It's
Servicing slop, serving up slop.
Creating slop, yeah.
Isn't it amazing that humanity could get done in by automated slop?
It is amazing. And I mean, think about just to play devil's advocate for a moment here, think about all the power at our hands right now. Like if you're using AI for anything, you know what I'm talking about. Why do we need so much more of it so fast? What is the deal?
6 nuclear reactors in Southwest Wyoming to power it. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I'm forgive my ignorance. I do not understand why these breathtaking amounts of power and water are required. I thought we lived in the era of nanotechnology, nanoprocessors. This sounds sort of pre-industrial.
Right. And you think about the browbeating that we as Western society have taken for the toll on the environment, right? Like we were told for years, it's your fault you eat cows. It's your fault there's a hole in the ozone. It's your fault climate change. You drive SUVs. It's your fault there's a drought. You're not using things properly. Your fault, your fault, your fault. Not ever pointed at the CEOs of the companies and the legislators and the lobbyists that made that situation. But now it's like, what has happened? We have done a complete 180 on the whole, ecosphere. We don't care about the ecosphere anymore. Apparently it's not a big deal that, I drive a V8 anymore. Is that cool? I can drive a V8, as long as I'm willing to spend $8 a gallon to feed it, because these guys can just use up all the water and all the power that they want.
Mm-hmm.
9 gigawatts is like
There's a theory that I have that I briefly mentioned on my last appearance on Weaponized News with Sam Cheney. Shout out to Sam. But maybe these things are not exactly what they're telling us. I mean, to use this massive amount of power and water, let's say if you were building like an underground installation, it's going to require a lot of power and water. But if you don't want anyone to know that that's what you're building, you would have some sort of front on top, on the ground level, and tell everybody, here's what we're really doing. There's something off about the story. Something just doesn't make sense about the massive push for this, the amount of them, the size of them, the amount of resources, and for what in the name of AI. Even if they say, oh, this is national, none of it makes sense. It's almost like we're way off the mark. Maybe it's for something completely different that we have no clue what's really going on.
And it's the same
perfect cover.
It's the same thing with 5G towers. It's the same thing with nanotech. It's the same thing with Starlink. Billions upon billions, trillions of dollars going into infrastructure that I personally think we're being sold a false, like Ruckus is saying, we're getting false advertising about what this is actually for. It could be anything, but I note that the push on these things is congruent, and they're coalescing at the same time. And same with the robotics factories, and these are all little swim lanes that they tried in their public relations, they stovepiped them. It's like AI is its own thing, robotics is its own thing, nanotech is its own thing, Starlink is its own thing. But why was Starlink at 5G its own thing? Why was 5G so important that while the rest of the world was shut down and told they were unessential, thousands upon thousands of 5G towers go up that really don't help your cell phone not all that much?
No, but they needed that. Those were for driverless cars. That was one of the main. Yeah,
that's a great selling point, right? Like that's one great selling point for the right person. But what else does it do?
Mm-hmm.
I saw a presentation
3D,
from Contact.
5G mapping does 3D. 5G does 3D mapping.
Right, like they'd used in the Batman movie
of environments. Yes,
Christopher Nolan's Batman movie.
I saw a presentation, Ruckus. I don't know if you've seen it, by someone at Contact in the Desert, which is one of the foremost, UFO, secret space program, etc. conferences. I think it's held in Nevada or Arizona. And this guy was saying, I mean, I cannot verify it, I'm simply repeating it. You can go and have a look for yourself. He was saying that not only are there underground bases at Dulce and Area 51 and some of these other well-known places, but that there are dozens and dozens of deep underground military bases all over the United States, connected by high-speed magnetic railways, traveling at Mach 2, and they're getting ready down there for when life on surface Earth is impossible. I mean, as I say, I can neither prove nor disprove this. Is he a dumb schmuck? I've no idea. The talk was illustrated and, purported to show part of a map of some of where these bases are. We just don't know. But certainly enough money has disappeared into black ops over the decades that it's entirely plausible.
It's like the plot out of these movies. Like, this makes sense in these doomsday scenario. They're like, oh, the government is secretly, they know that an asteroid is coming and everybody's going to die, but we don't want you to panic. I'm just using this as an example. It's the plot of a million different stories. So it's like, oh, that makes sense in your head. So, I mean, if they were to do that in real life, it would look kind of something like this. I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but whatever they have, the proverbial whatever they have planned for us or they know is coming, they're protecting themselves, and they have been continuously. And then you look, Elon Musk, the other company we rarely talk about is the Boring Company. It's pretty boring, huh? What's in it? It's probably not that boring at all. That's the one that makes all the tunnels. Why do you need a company that makes all these tunnels for Elon Musk, and with all these contracts with the military and governments? What's really going on?
The boring thing, the Hyperloop is just a front project. That business is doing other things. Yeah.
Supposedly the boring machines are nuclear powered, and they literally melt the rock in front of them, which then forms a sort of basalt corridor. So as you go, like with a smooth finish like glass. I mean, who knows what it's like?
It does make sense
it's a menagerie of ETs as well. It's like a zoo of different extraterrestrial races down there as well. God knows, you know.
So,
And
so
all sorts of chimeras as well. Hideous experiments of, grafting human DNA onto animals, and believe it or not, even plants. I don't want to go there. It's called Nightmare Alley. It just beggars belief. I hope it's all untrue.
ask Preston Nichols. Was Preston Nichols?
Yeah, he was on the show once.
Yeah, back in the
Years
day.
ago. Yeah.
There's
He's
an
dead now,
interview
right?
somewhere in the archive.
That's right.
It makes sense for Mars: underground tunnels, robots, electric cars, Elon sperm banks. That all sort of works out for Mars. Was Hesher's flashing up something here? That
Plant Man Chimera, Swamp Thing, the original Plant Man
that's like
Chimera.
Groot. I am Groot.
Ugh.
I am
Ugh.
Groot.
Somewhere between Groot and Swamp Thing.
So the Kevin O'Leary, last thing I'll say here is before we wrap up, Kevin O'Leary's data centers, 9 gigawatts. That's 3 Tokyos, says Van Hemmer. That's insane. That's the Matrix. That's the Wachowski brothers' dystopic future, right?
That's enough power for like 4 DeLoreans to go back in time, isn't it?
1.21 gigawatts in Back to the Future.
Wow. So it's overkill. Is it? I mean, there are going to be dozens of these centers. So what on earth is going on here?
You know, Zuckerberg was pushed by someone to interview recently. So what's the bunker for? Well, it's nothing really. I mean, it's
a bunker.
A bunker.
Everybody's
no, this is a data center, my friend. It's not a bunker. It's a data center. It's a ballroom.
Yeah, it's a ballroom. That's it. Maybe there's a ballroom under the data center in Utah. Maybe that's what it is. It's just a giant ballroom.
Oh, real quick, Patrick, Trump's golden statue. I know you saw that, right?
Yeah, I'm not a fan, but go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Apparently, it's come out that it's somehow tied to a cryptocurrency scam project of some sort. Go figure. Yes.
It is actually, and it's an Israeli Ashkenazi Jewish company, they're promoting it. They've tokenized it, something crazy like that. So it doesn't end. It's just a massive grift every which way you look at it. But
I think that statue will be melted down within 10 years.
Do you think it's a Trojan device? Is there something inside it we should know about?
No, who knows?
The paint will start chipping soon, so that'll be interesting to see if they can keep it up. But it looks beautiful. Yeah, let's just do a golden statue and then like dance around it. Bring in some Christians to dance around it. It's got a good biblical look.
We could have Erica Kirk featured out front dancing and having fireworks.
That's right. Yeah. She should have been there for the launch.
And she's like, I just want to go home.
She could have done it with her black hat and her do a Janet Jackson with the mic, the boom mic. She could do a sort of performance there at the launch of the gold statue. That'd be great.
Got caught in her CIA outfit there, huh?
Frolicking around the golden calf. Well, what would Moses say? Right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much. Final thoughts, final words. Other programs of note this week. Hesher, go ahead.
Like I said, we didn't do Boiler Room on Friday night. We may or may not pull together one before the next scheduled one, which will be this coming Friday. But of course, there's plenty you can check out at alternatecurrentradio.com. And if you would follow me on the socials, that would be great too. Those links are all on the website, alternatecurrentradio.com. Find me on X at Hesher Media. Find us on YouTube at Alternate Current Radio. Find us on Rumble at Alternate Current Radio and Boiler Room. Visit the website for all the latest, alternatecurrentradio.com. And everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll look forward to hanging with you again next weekend.
Thank you very much. Bryan McClain, a.k.a. Hesher, host of the Boiler Room at alternatecurrentradio.com. Again, link in the show description below, as well as on the show page over at 21st Century Wire. Ruckus, final thoughts, venues of note to attend this week?
Well, whenever we do our boiler room, you'll find me over there. Whenever you have me here on Sunday Wire, which I always appreciate, thanks again, you'll find me here. And when I'm not doing that, you can probably find me either Wednesday or Thursday night over at Weaponized News with Sam Cheney, who, shout out to them, have been steadily growing with his views on YouTube. So congrats to them. So yeah, check out what we're doing over there. I think fans of this program will enjoy what's going on over there. That's Weaponized News. And you can always catch the replays at our website, alternatecurrentradio.com. That's under the Roundabout Ruckus monikers, my podcast bucket for all my appearances across the board if it's not Boiler Room or Sunday Wire, obviously. And then I caught you did some reporting on UK column just recently, Patrick, and you mentioned it earlier today, and I think it's somehow linked to your Sunday screening. And this concept about being cast in the bad light inspired me to make an observation, and of course, this accompanying graphic, which I had a good time making. But my observation was that I'd like to share with everyone: only your own actions can cast you in a bad light. When the show is live, the whole world is your audience, and everyone can see what you're doing. So I don't know who needs to hear that. Oh, that's right. It's Israel who needs to hear that. So thanks again for having me. As Bill Cooper reminded us, read everything, listen to everybody. Don't believe anything unless you prove it for yourself with your own research. There you have it.
100%. Thank you. And a great image you spun up there. We retweeted that on our X feed. Very appropriate, very true. That's a good quality piece of art right there. Yes, that's right. Israel was upset that the documentary cast them in a bad light. The Gaza Doctors documentary. So, of course, the BBC couldn't air it because it's making Israel look bad. I mean, go figure, Basil. Final words, Basil?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the BBC even clipped the acceptance speech from the BAFTA Awards. Not only did they not show the film, but they also didn't even want to report the winning team from the film. I'll be back on UK column on Friday lunchtime with Patrick, and I want to draw attention to a film I saw last week called We Won't Be Silenced, which is about the campaign in Sussex to close the L3 Harris factory, which makes components for Israeli warplanes and drones. And the film cuts together footage of the damage that these things do to human beings with the campaign to stop it. And I thought that might be a good film for Sunday screening. So get in touch with me if you'd like to show it, Patrick. We won't be silent.
Definitely send us the details. We'll be happy to consider that for next Sunday screening.
Okay.
Sounds like a good one. But thank you again, gentlemen, and thank you to our audience for your engagement. This has been a very good program, a lot of engagement on the comments. We've got over 2,000 comments during the live stream. We are heavily throttled on the socials, especially on X. So, again, we have probably half. They've instituted a very heavy throttling censorship blanket on us on X the last 2 weeks. So I've sort of noticed that. So our live stream numbers are down heavily as a result. So again, if you like this program, hit like and subscribe. If you guys are on right now, don't forget, like this video, subscribe, leave a comment in the normal comment sections as well as the live stream comments, which you've been doing. That also helps to push us up a little bit. Share the link, the YouTube link or the Rumble link of this show on your socials, the live stream, retweet it if you can on X. All of this helps to get more visibility from this program. We are constantly battling this algorithmic suppression. And if you so choose or are able to help us on the fundraising, go to 21st Century Wire, upper left-hand corner, the donate button. Also, you'll see in this description below, you can support us. There's a lot of different options here, and we need your help. We are an independent media platform, been going since 2009, and you guys make it happen. This is a listener-driven media outlet. We've had various affiliate advertisers here and there. They come and they go, but our main support is you. you guys are the drivers of this platform. So we need your help constantly to make the programs that we do. We have staff, we have a team, we've got webmasters, we've got security on our website, as well as our hosting, all sorts of plugins, all of this stuff. It all costs money. We do travel, we do go on location. We're able to do quite a lot for our audience, but we need your help to make that happen. So if you can support us, subscribe and become a member monthly at 21wire.tv. There's different ways you can pay, either PayPal, credit card, crypto. We've got different facilities there, and we appreciate, we will put to good use everything that you give us. And you've seen what we've been able to do, especially in the last year and 2 years. It's been nothing short of incredible. And the investigative reports, which are coming out weekly and daily during the week, Freddie Ponton, as well as one of our lead journalists, doing an amazing job. So we are getting out there, and we have really expanded our footprint across the internet and some of the main channels as well. So I'm busy there, as well as on doing our just basic journalism that we do regularly. So we need your help to make that work, and we really appreciate every single bit of support that we get from you guys. So if you like what we do and you want us to do more of it, please consider supporting us. And on a monthly basis, if you can. If you miss any of the Sunday Wire episodes, just go to our website. You'll see the archives there. Sunday Wire archive is there if you miss any of the shows, as well as on the channels. We keep a very detailed archive and record there. So do check us out. And well, again, we'll see you hopefully next week with another great episode of the Sunday Wire. Keep an eye during the week. We'll have some new programming coming up on the website, as well as on our channels during the week. We've been moving and transitioning, so we've a little bit behind on our normal content schedule, but we'll be resuming that this week. So we'll be able to catch up there. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this week's Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. Once again, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you this week. Thank you guys for every comment, every bit of support, the super chats, the stickers. It all goes to a good cause, and we really, really appreciate your support. It's been amazing. Until then, we'll see you next time, and we'll go out with the music of Peter Conway, another great singer-songwriter from the UK, one of my favorite artists of all time, and a very poignant piece. Ladies and gentlemen, take care. All the best.
Don't need war, we need peace. We need to find a release from the ties that bind our minds, from the constraints that rule our lives. Politics has failed again. Power's in the hands of dangerous men, with their fury and their rage, and minds bent with fear, greed and hate. They're dropping bombs again. They don't know that all lives are heaven sent. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. Now's the time for change. Tell me, do you feel the same? For here we stand in the name of love, all peoples of the world as one. The revelation needed on the street is that we're more powerful than we believe. What they don't want us to know is that the light of love we shine they can't control. The other day I spoke to God. She said to me, share this message in a song. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times now. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. We don't need war, we need peace. We need to come together in unity. We can change the world tonight when we let love be our guiding light. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times now. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine now. Now is the time. It's time to heal dividing lines for the sake of humankind now. Now is the time. It's time for us to realize we're all one in God's mind now. Now is the time. Now is the time. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need